It was a struggle when I first saw your face, because I knew that you were my saving grace. And no longer could I drop the ball, it was fate. I had to step my game up, no more playing, you depended on me. Never thought that it would turn out this way. Single mother paying bills, trying to live, ain't that a shame? I ain't the one to go and try to point the blame. I take responsibility for all the careless things I did now. I'm gonna shower you with all my love. I'm gonna teach you how to love yourself and stay in the forefront and never look back. Mama got you, you ain't never gotta question that. You can be anything. As long as I am here, I'm always gonna have your back. You can be anything. Mama got you, you ain't never gotta question that. You can be anything. You can be anything. As long as I am here, I'm always gonna have your back. You can be anything. You can be anything. Mama got you, you ain't never gotta question that. Years later, I got blessed more times too. Now I'm wondering, what am I gonna do? I thought I had it right a second time around, third time around, man, bump it, I'm gon' tough it out. I thought my life was over, but I get it. Just two more reasons why I gotta go and get it. They always doubt you till they see the winning digits. That's my trio, yeah, they made me. Even family I can shake now. I'm gonna shower you with all my love. I'm gonna teach you how to love yourself and stay in the forefront and never look back. Mama got you, you ain't never gotta question that. You can be anything. As long as I am here, I'm always gonna have your back. You can be anything. You can be anything. Mama got you, you ain't never gotta question that. You can be anything. You can be anything. As long as I am here, I'm always gonna have your back. You can be anything. You can be anything. Mama got you, you ain't never gotta question that. I'm gonna shower you with all my love. I'm gonna teach you how to love yourself and stay in the forefront and never look back. Mama got you, you ain't never gotta question that. You can be anything. As long as I am here, I'm always gonna have your back. You can be anything. Mama got you, you ain't never gotta question that.
Hey now, how's everybody doing?
Doing good, excited, yo. We talking about it, yo. This is it right here. We've been waiting for this one.
We've been waiting for this one.
We've been waiting for this one right here. This one right here, I'm excited about.
I hope everybody ready for this one. I really do, because it's gonna take you a couple places. We're gonna do a little dip and dives throughout this thing. So I hope that everybody enjoys it. Got your seatbelt on, get ready to ride.
Get real.
I hope everybody had a great week, and I hope everybody even had a better weekend. Getting ready to go back to it tomorrow. Right. I know I ain't looking forward to it. I ain't never looking forward to Mondays. I don't like Mondays.
Right.
But I actually consider, technically, if some people consider Sunday the first day of the week as a work day. So for those out there that do, you've already started your groove. We
already here. We here right now.
We here. We working. We doing it. We doing it. We work on Sundays. But yeah, I just hope everybody had a great week, a great weekend. Thank you for tuning in. Look, we want your comments today. Do not be shy about this topic. Go drop your comments in the section below. Get into the discussion with us, because it's gonna be juicy. It's gonna be a little lit. And y'all know me, I'm off the chain anyway. So, but today we're doing the relationship series, episode 4, Sex, Love, and Intimacy. I'm your host, Natalie. I'm about to start introducing myself as natural, because that's normally what I go by. So we're going to actually kind of swap that out. So that'll be something for everybody moving forward. And then my co-host, Scion, the founder of the Proof Podcast. We in the building. Ready to do it. How was your week? How was your weekend?
Oh, my week was good, yo. The weekend was pretty festivity. I went out to the 919 day, went to the all black party last night, so I had a
How
good
was
time.
that?
It was pretty good. I got to celebrate with Uncle a little bit. You know how Uncle is, so that's always a good time right there. A lot of laughs, good people around.
Okay.
Definitely good right there.
We were supposed to go to that, but I don't know what happened.
Right.
I got lazy in my day yesterday. I was the movie queen. I'm telling you, I didn't. Other than my workout, honey, that was it. I was
That was
down for the
relax.
count.
Said
And
relax.
then I tried to stay up. I wanted to make. I'm always DIY and some stuff, so I was trying to learn about alcohol inks.
Wow.
And I was messing around with Sharpies and rubbing alcohol and trying to get these alcohol inks made because you can paint with them, you can do nails, you can do all kinds of stuff with this.
Wow.
And honey, that then took me into the wee hours of the morning. By the time I looked up, I was like, if I don't take my tail to bed.
Right.
So
Here we are.
that was my weekend. But I
Right.
enjoyed myself though. I got to do some stuff I wanted to do yesterday and got to just be lazy and just, I think we all need days like that every once in a while. So
Definitely do.
So I hope y'all ready.
I'm
Because we
ready.
about
Yo,
to
let me
do
take a
it.
deep breath. Yo, let me get a deep
We
breath
about
because it's
to,
about to get real.
we about to do it. We are about to do it. So hey now, Rob. Hey, I'm glad you ain't nobody procrastinating. Ain't nobody got time for that. We about to
All
do
right.
it. Get
All
you
right, Rob, what's the deal? Jay,
get
what's up, yo? Appreciate y'all checking in.
yeah, go and get your mind right, Rob, because it's about to go down.
About to go down. Y'all hope you're ready for this one right here. This one tight and right here. This one is tight but right.
Right. So when we think about sex, love, and intimacy, we often think they go hand in hand. Technically, they do, but a lot of people don't get it right because they skip the process. And this is because they're not doing it correctly. You're not dating correctly. You're not going through the process, the steps like you should be going through them. And oftentimes when there's that breakdown, you'll see them working separately, but you'll never really quite get it together collectively where it's most cohesive at.
Right.
So that's what we're really talking about today. Okay.
Jay says
Oftentimes
you ready. Jay says you ready. My bad. Go ahead. Yeah, Jay says you ready. Yeah, salute to Jay, yo.
salute. Thank you for coming out. So what happens is people often have a difficult time communicating. We talked about communication last week. Trust me, we're going to talk about your homework as we're going. Don't worry about it. So I hope everybody did their assignment because this is going to be a check-in spot for you. Oftentimes people have difficulty effectively communicating. And they have a difficulty I can't get it out today, y'all.
You having difficulties communicating. Yo, we good. Yo, it's live.
And we have a difficulty communicating things that are vital to us having satisfying relationships. That's the bottom line. We don't want to communicate about what's most important. So in the process of that, genuine healthy relationships actually have the experience of experiencing genuine love and amazing intimacy on different levels with their partner. And they also have the opportunity to have an amazing sex life. We're grown. We're talking about it. Go and get ready for it. You know what I'm saying? But you really do. When you do it right and everything falls like it's supposed to, you get those benefits. But a lot of people don't understand that intimacy is really the starting point.
Right.
So yeah, we call it sex, love, and intimacy because it sounds good to go in that order. But intimacy really is the first core foundation of a relationship.
Right.
So when we get down, we'll kind of look at, let me back up. Sex, love, and intimacy all have their places in a relationship.
Right.
And must have their place to be present in order for a relationship to thrive. But oftentimes we do it wrong and there are consequences. Doing it wrong is putting sex before love and love before intimacy, and then not being able to see the building blocks and how they're very different, but how they also affect each other cohesively and collectively.
Right.
Intimacy in a relationship is the feeling of being close and emotionally connected and supported. It means that being able to share a whole range of thoughts, feelings, and experiences that we have as human beings
Right.
with someone else. It involves being able to talk and walk through your thoughts, your emotions, and letting your guard down. This is about the part of being vulnerable.
Right.
Okay. And showing someone else how you feel and what your hopes and your dreams are. So we've kind of talked about some of this as we kind of been building up to this point.
Right.
But we talked last week about communication.
Right.
Communicate. You cannot have these things if you are not open to effectively communicate.
Facts.
And so if you, like I said, if you did your homework, if you were here last week, you watched it, you did the homework. As we move forward and when we get into tonight's homework assignment, you're really going to be able to see, okay, my barriers here in communication or my breakdowns here is going to be some of the driven in your homework assignment tonight that you're going to be able to cohesively match together.
Tie it all together.
So intimacy is a word that's often scary for both men and women. Okay, we shy up because we're like, okay, what you talking about? What you talking about?
Now we're trying to get deep, right?
But it's not just we shy away from it more so as adults. But intimacy is something that we're learning at a childhood age. Right. We're learning intimacy at that stage and the many layers to intimacy, and all is important. And some relationships will share all intimacy levels, such as romantic ones, but others may only share a few.
Right.
But romantic relationships should truly be where two people are completely open and honest and are willing to expose each other or expose themselves to each other. This is the vulnerability, and this is critical to a relationship because true intimacy is one that builds trust.
Right. So
we got to build the trust. And by building trust, we're building bonds. And if you have the intimacy, it can help you get through difficult times.
Facts.
One cannot build real intimacy without being able to communicate.
Right.
And so if you go back to the assignment or you got the printout, and it's something you want to kind of go back to, if you got the printout, definitely print it or find a way to, get it so that you can keep it. Maybe attach it to your homework assignment, start building yourself like a little booklet, or if that's what you want to call it, just a little pamphlet, little handout. Because assertive communication, we know, is about respect. It's about actively listening. Body language, tone, assertiveness, direct, clear. You need that to build intimacy. You need that kind of communication style effectively to get the benefits of the intimacy that you're seeking.
Right.
Because when we talk about, you being passive aggressive or somebody being aggressive or, manipulative, and we really didn't go over that style last week, but if you're communicating in all these different areas that are not healthy, right, you're not going to really be able to be honest like you should, or be able to hear your partner like you should about, building intimacy and sharing that back and forth. Right. Okay. So types of intimacy: experiential intimacy. So what I did was I kind of broke these down so that people can see them in different lights. Okay. Right. So experiential is when people are bonding. They're doing leisure activities together. They may sync up their actions and teamwork or find themselves acting in unison. Right. People who work in an artist, collaborating. Experiential intimacy. You know what I'm saying? A father and a son working together to build a train. Experiential intimacy. You're experiencing that moment, that intimacy. You're bonding. You're working together on something. Couples do this also. Right. You experience things together. Whether it be the birth of a child or, the death of a loved one, an experience that you're going through it together, or even though you're doing it together, you're still going through it individually. Right. And the communication aspect is what helps you to be able to identify how each other is feeling and the emotions, right? And that's something that we'll get into a little bit about the difference between emotions and feelings, because they're not the same thing. But people use them interchangeably into one. And this is where a lot of people get messed up. So we're going to get into that too. Okay.
Let me chime in with something right there, right? Because a lot of people, they say, you know, I want to marry my best friend and stuff like that, right? The thing that I'm learning, right, when we talk about intimacy, vulnerability, and opening up, right?
Right.
It's like one of the. This is just my take. Again, I'm no expert. You know what I mean? What I can do is mess it up, but I'm trying to get it right. You know what I'm saying? But my take on it, right, is the ultimate sign of love, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'm wrong. Is to be able to be naked, vulnerable, in front of your partner, right? With all your clothes on, with no holding back. This is who I am.
Right.
And it takes a lot to get to that point right there, because like if you coming in with hangups, if you haven't did the self-checks and stuff like that, you come in with insecurity, it's going to be hard for you to open up, to communicate certain things, or you worrying about how they're going to look at you or how they're going to perceive you. So, it's dope right there. So it's like when I tied that together, it's like it all makes sense, because like from day one to now, it's like all the pieces are coming together. It's like a big puzzle. So, and then even experiential intimacy right there. Like, is that like, is that like when people have these entanglements and stuff like that, they experience that moment of intimacy? Is that the same, or I'm tripping?
You can have that, but in those contexts, we'll actually get into that when we get into the sex portion.
Right.
I'll be able to explain it, because I want to be able to show people the difference between the intensity of the emotion and what happens chemically in the brain that kind of we're gonna get there. I ain't gonna get it. But emotional intimacy is what most people in relationships want. For women, this is a high-powered thing. Like they need that from you. They need men to be emotional. And this is where we talked about before, creating safe spaces.
Right.
Creating safe spaces. Intimacy takes time. It's something that we do, it stages, it progresses, right? Emotional intimacy is when people share their feelings with each other, even uncomfortable ones. For an example, you brought up the body. So what I'm going to use for this was a woman confides in her sister about her body image issues.
Right.
The reason that she did that, she trusts her sibling, to knowing that the sibling is going to provide her comfort versus using her insecurities against her. Now, when we think about that in relationships, for someone to come to someone and say, we've been together a long time, and had a couple kids, my body changing, I might not be feeling as attractive as I used to, which may have an effect on our sex life. I'm being emotionally intimate at that moment because I'm sharing my vulnerability. I'm sharing something that's affecting me, that's going on in my mind, and I need my partner to know, so that way we can work through this together. That he's aware that, my changes are going to throw me off, which is going to have a direct effect on our relationship.
Right.
That's what intimacy is about. Intimacy is not surface level. Now, you can have the basic intimacy surface level conversations. We'll get to that. But emotional intimacy is something that progresses and becomes deep. And eventually surpasses the surface. So if you're not even ready to dive into that, we'll discuss why you may not be ready and what you can do to kind of get yourself geared up for that as well. But you also have intellectual intimacy. When people feel comfortable sharing ideas and opinions, even when they disagree.
Right.
So, for an example for this, you got two friends debating the meaning of life. They enjoy hearing each other's opinions and points of view, but they don't feel the need to win the argument. That's heavy for a lot of people in today. Right. And you have couples that will debate each other and want to be right in the relationship. Right. You can't be with somebody and constantly trying to one up you. Why are you?
Say it again. Come on, say it again, because somebody need to hear that. Yeah, somebody watching need to hear that, because they over there tit for tat, point shaving right now as we speak. Stop that.
You cannot be in a relationship and tick for tack each other. You can't do it. You can't want to one up. If your goal is to go into something and someone says, I see it this way, and you see it this way, if it's just a mutual conversation, respect where they are.
Right.
But if you see, this is the thing. We believe what we believe, but we want to believe that what we believe is right. But if it's right for you, then you don't need to go out. You shouldn't have to persuade nobody else. If they want to hear your point of view, they want you to share that with them, and they're open to that. Cool. Until they have a life-changing experience or whatever that may need to happen for them to see it the same way that you do. But if you can't just have the back and forth and be able to see each other without making it debatable, I need to win this. You got to see it my way. I'm right all the time. You're constantly going to be in a competitive cycle of your relationship, which suffocates the ability to grow. And it will suffocate your ability to have deeper intimacy, because every time they bring up a point of view or a challenge, it's always going to hit a brick wall. Because you're not communicating it out of love and compassion.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Assertive communication means that we respect others. We don't go out our way to hurt others. You may not agree, but it's cool. But you can't have healthy intimacy and be trying, and that's for friendships, relationships with children, that's in a committed relationship, all of that. All of that. Right. So you might need to check yourself. And then we got sexual intimacy, okay? For those of y'all that are ready for the sexual intimacy.
All right.
We know that this is when people engage in sensual or sexual activities. When people use the word intimacy, this is normally what people refer to.
All right. Quality time with you.
They want the quality time. But it is important to understand the different layers of intimacy, because when you talk about being in a relationship and having that best friend, and you're having these multiple relationships within this one relationship, you have to understand the different levels of intimacy. Right. You got to be aware of how deep the relationship can go, and these are just the surface level. You can dig into spiritual intimacy. You can dig into so many other different things that are important and vital to you. You know what I mean? That matter. So understanding your different layers of intimacy and how to make sure that you're fulfilling those things over time so that all your intimate needs are being met. Okay. But an example is, we know two lovers engaging in foreplay.
Oh, wow. They won't bring it up. That's but they will stop communicating.
But see, if they stop, but see, here's the thing. I'm gonna finish this, and then I'm gonna get back to where I'm gonna answer her question. I'm gonna make a statement to her question. But for example, there's two lovers engaging in foreplay, knowing how each other likes to be touched. So that means you communicated. You get what I'm saying?
Right there.
Now here's the thing. Here's the thing when it comes to intimacy. Intimacy is one of those things, again, that it takes time to build.
Right. A
lot of people will do surface level.
Right.
But when we talked about dating, and next week's show is actually dating etiquette. Wow. So y'all can get ready for the dating etiquette episode next week. Okay. Right. This is gonna help y'all put all y'all little stuff. We're gonna put it all together. We're gonna put it all together for you.
All right now.
But when you're dating someone and you're going out, right? And we talked about this. And we're gonna talk about it again next week. It'll just get more in depth. But we talked about, going different places and doing different things and, experiencing that, because different places open up different levels of nostalgia and make people feel more comfortable and more open to talk about certain things. You're removing some of the pressure. Maybe it's not, the focus isn't just on, that. It could be bowling. It could be, you go on putt-putt. You know, maybe you went for a stroll in the botanical gardens or something. You're in an environment that kind of is making it easy to kind of communicate. There's no pressure there. You're not at somebody's house, you know, worried about what's going to happen or what I need not to do. But if someone starts to shut down, my question becomes is how are they shutting down? Is it one of those things where we haven't gotten there yet, I'm not quite ready to disclose that? Right. Or is it, I'm asking you some questions that are deeper than surface, but not so deep, where it's inappropriate at this stage, and you're choosing not to communicate and ghost because if they do that, then it shows you that they didn't have the substance. They didn't have the substance to give you. And I'm going to explain that about intimacy. No, I'm going to explain it because people really are afraid of intimacy. And when you're communicating, that's what you're doing. You're becoming more intimate. Right. People are afraid of that on so many levels. And this is why people can be in relationships. And for those of you that are in relationships right now, maybe you're married. Maybe it's been a couple of years. Maybe it's been super long term. Maybe you've been in a relationship for 3 to 5 years, whatever. You're finding out that emotional availability is not there. Wow. It could have been avoided. And this is when we talk about doing the steps out of place.
We got to break it down.
When you do things out of place, it gives you the false reality that something is there that is really not even there. Because now you contributed emotions, and emotions tell us what we like and what we don't like. Right. Where feelings tell us how we should live. But every feeling starts with an emotion. So the emotion emotions are intense. They are intense surges, and it is chemical. Like it takes over the body. Anybody who's ever had a soup, whether it's anger or lust, right. We all then have these elements that just, it just do something to you. But imagine taking that high intense emotion and stewing on that mentally for days, and then it starts to create a feeling. But if you're doing stuff out of context or taking the steps away out of the way that you should be doing it, what you've done was now you created the false reality based on your emotions coming to the conscious mind, creating a feeling that really isn't what you think it is because you don't know all the other aspects.
Stuck in the matrix. You created a fantasy world.
But a lot of people do. And we have people right now that I can guarantee that are watching, that are in relationships that they're not satisfied. But it doesn't mean that you can't redo the building block. Right. But the reality becomes is if both people aren't willing to repair it, then you got what you get. You got to figure it out. Right. Either you gonna jump ship or you gonna, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And see, my thing with marriage is, and the reason I take that so serious is because marriage makes it harder for you to walk away. Right. Because you got all this stuff entangled in together. So it should really be a process that you really thinking about heavy before you do.
Right. See for the keeper. Taking half. I want half at it. I want half.
They won't have, but also people get married for all the wrong reasons. That false reality will set in.
Thanks.
So my question for Tramika, and I'm so glad you're here, girl. My question for her is, since we just talked about that, when do you find that they stop communicating? And what will they not bring something up? Or are you asking and they're not bringing it up and they just stop communicating at that point? I kind of want to know a little bit more about, or were you just making a statement? Because I'm kind of curious. I wanted to kind of see if she wanted to dive a little deeper into that or if that was a statement. So hit me in the comments, girl. Let me know.
All right.
But they do stop, but people will stop communicating if it gets tight. But this is your opportunity to weed people out. Again, like we said, Don't be mad at nobody. Be okay with it. One and done. It's over. You have to worry about it no more. You ain't got to commit to that. You ain't got to put no energy into that. And again, if your standards and your boundaries is in place, you communicating is on deck to get these things right here. Oh, baby, all that's gonna flow together. Cause you coming equipped for it. You're not playing the games. But people have a tendency, okay, so we talked about sexual intimacy. So intimacy in romantic relationships is usually something that is built over time. New relationships particularly might have moments of intimacy, but building long-term intimacy is a gradual process that requires patience and communication. Okay. Many people judge the quality of their relationship based on the depth of their intimacy, right, and to the degree of how close they feel to their partner. That's a very real thing.
That's a real thing. We got her answer. She just sounded in before you keep going. Hold on one second.
Okay. Yep, that's it. Yeah, stop communicating. Then sure do.
Oh yeah. After that.
Yeah. Because especially if their communication style is aggressive or passive aggressive, like you can't do nothing with that. And that shows you the levels of their insecurities, and you don't want to fuel that fire, because it's gonna be a never ending story.
Right. That was me.
So I agree with her. Stop communicating. Shut it down. Don't even feed into that no more.
I used to be the person like that didn't know how to talk. And it's like, back them up in the corner. Now they shutting down. You know what I mean? It's like, yo, I don't even feel like going through all of that. Right. You got it. It's like I had to learn. So yo, that's definitely right.
And sometimes, when you're an assertive communicator, it's okay to tell somebody, like, look, you know what? I'm really trying to, have this conversation with you and, see both sides of the, coin. I want to understand more about you. I want you to understand more about me. But I see that you're not really in a space to be able to do that. Right. This is not healthy for me. And, I can't engage in this. Right. Because what you're doing is you're also letting someone know, I'm a firm believer in letting people know sometimes why things aren't going the way they should, or why things aren't working out. And it's not to stick a knife in nobody, okay? But it is an opportunity for them to get recognition that, hey, maybe I'm not handling this appropriately. If you hear that so many times, maybe it becomes a sign that you do need to take a look at yourself.
Right.
Okay. So, and we'll go back. But the reason people judge the quality of their relationships based on intimacy, this is related to the trust and knowing someone on a deeper level, right? We're talking about deeper than the surface. Partners want to have the ultimate intimacy with each other. Right. Knowing each other in ways that no one else will ever know them, giving their relationship more significance in each other's lives, is a hierarchy and a bond that cannot be broken by outside influences. Romantic relationships in the dating to committed phase will experience all four types of intimacy. But that's one of those things, right? Like, I could sit here and say, because I'm always using myself as an example, but I can sit here and say, don't nobody know me better than my husband. My mama don't even know me better than my husband. She gave birth to me. There's just some things that my mother doesn't know. And that's okay. Love her to death. We have a great relationship. But when you're in a relationship where because I believe that a man and a woman become one when they become married, that trumps everything for me. My husband should know everything about me, and I should know everything about him. There shouldn't be the need to have secrets. Now, I'm sure there's some things that people will take with them. It could be, but for the most part, you should not be ashamed to show yourself, your whole self. Because this is the person that building everything with. You're trusting them with so much. So if you can't get in that depth, you got to get up out of there. Get up out of there. If you can't do it, get up out of there. Because you're wasting somebody else's time. You're playing games.
Somebody's in their sunken space right now as I turn. Somebody's falling into a sunken space.
Boy, you better come up out of there. You better get up out of it. You better run.
They better get up out of there. You gotta go.
Look, everybody saw that movie. Everybody know how it ended. 2 years. That brother went through some things. Look, I can't.
He went through some things. Gotta go right now.
Gotta go. So the fear of intimacy, when you come across someone who has the fear of intimacy, I want you to think about this, okay? I want you to think about these stages. So intimacy can help you feel more loved and less alone. I ain't got time.
Somebody really might be stuck right now. Somebody's trying to go and they stuck. That's real.
Okay. All right. I'm answering because of how you phrased it, but I know Robbie trying to be funny. So, depending on where you're stuck, you know, situations for relationships are different for everyone. You know, sometimes it's not a one-size-fit-all model. Once you're in it. Right. But on a surface level, I could say, you know, what has you stuck? You know, because you're never out of options to make choices to get out of something. But a lot of times people fear starting over. People fear being alone. People fear what will other people think if we're not together anymore. People in domestic violence situations, we know that they fear for their life.
Come on, Rob.
But see, the scared to stuck over. The thing about being scared to start over, that thing right there, that's an excuse for comfortability and complacency.
Right, Jay said, okay now. All right.
No, it's comfortability and complacency.
Right.
Because you done got so comfortable in this thing that you're willing to tolerate. You're afraid to start over because at some point the relationship offers some kind of benefit. You're not fully satisfied. You're not getting everything that you want. It's not healthy. But there's something that's making you stay. So you're compromising yourself for something. So that ain't stuck. That's you making a conscious decision to do that. If it ain't abusive, you're making a conscious decision to do that. And when I say abusive, it depends verbally, mentally, emotionally, on those kind of levels where you're being, you know, verbally abused. Maybe you've been isolated from all your family and friends, because a lot of abusers will do that. They'll get you isolated, maybe move you away, certain things like that. We've talked about that in the trauma series. But you got to decide that it's okay to start over. If you ain't made it up in your mind yet that it ain't about nobody but you, then you're going to be where you're going to be until you decide to put yourself first and make the moves that's necessary for you.
Right.
Some people just want to be with people for the sake of being with somebody. We talked about that too.
Right. So let me ask, what if it is an abusive situation, right? Let me give you an example, right? They get together, they're married, they've been together 5 years, everything good, right? Mm-hmm. Everything, no red flags, no warning signs, right? Mm-hmm. They get together, they move now.
Okay.
The woman starts beating the husband now. Right?
Okay.
Starts physically beating him. Now he's in a sunken space. It could be man or woman that's in there, like you said, being verbally abused or physically abused. Now that they've isolated, they're in a place where it's like they feel like they're disconnected from everything else. Who's gonna say, man, I'm an island now. I'm being abused. How does that person get out when they may feel like, what am I gonna do? Or, you know, I may not have an education. I gave up my life to raise the kids. He told me he'd take care of him. They flip the script. Now they become abusive. So it's like, if I leave, how am I going to take care of my kids? A lot of, even back in the day, with like the older ones before us. A lot of ones, they were in the house all the time. They took care of the house. The man provided.
Right.
So now he's doing whatever he's doing. She confronts him on it. He says, so what are you going to leave? And she's looking at her kids like, what are we going to do? So if a person was in that situation or abusive, stuck in that sense, what advice would you give them?
I've worked with domestic violence, survivors, and I will say this: they have to get help. Like you gotta call and get help, because there are centers and people and organizations that will help you. And if somebody calls you and lets you know that they're in that situation, be a friend and be open. And it's not a time to judge. It's not a time to judge. It's not a time to say, I told you, girl, he wasn't none of that. Right. It's an opportunity to say, how can I help you get out of this situation? And reassure them and remind them that it doesn't matter if you have to start over. Your life is not worth. It's not worth you dying and losing your kid. Your kids being raised without a mother, right, or a father, because you want to save face. Because people that really love you and care about you, they're going to be there for you and help you make this transition.
Right. That's true.
But a lot of people, a lot of domestic violence people don't say anything because of embarrassment and shame and guilt and how I didn't know. And so they have to be supported immensely emotionally, right, to be able to get the confidence that's required to leave that. And then they're going to need support after that.
It's a process. Right.
Because a lot of times they've been brainwashed. They do believe that the situation they're in is their fault. The person that's beating them has let them know that it's their fault. So definitely, if you're in that kind of situation, again, and someone, when they call you or they reach out to you, please be an advocate and a support to them. Because domestic violence is something that is serious, and it is a constant issue that we're seeing. And people present themselves really well sometimes.
Right.
And this is why I always encourage the vetting process to be how it should be.
Right.
When you on your P's, boy, I'm telling you, a lot of times people that want to do you harm like that, they're seeking out people that are already broken. They know that maybe you didn't come from a good household, or you got a parent wound, and they can present themselves. Or maybe you don't have a lot of family. So there's always something that gives them that opening. So when they come in, it's like they have, you know what I'm saying? They have just blessed your life. Like it's and you feel a sense of maybe long term, like, once it starts happening, that you owe them because they saved you from something.
Saved you.
So you really got to be mindful of that. And that's why I encourage people so much to work through their trauma. Work through your trauma. Work through your trauma.
Right.
Because it closes off these gaps for people to be able to take advantage of you in certain areas that you don't even see coming.
Right.
And your vulnerability and your intimacy is something that is earned, not given 100% away right away. So if you're doing that, cut that out.
That's a fact. Yeah.
Cut it out.
I got a family member, right? Close. Well, he's like a friend of the family, right? True story. I know I do a lot of jokes up here, shenanigans, but this is real, right? Right. So they're in a relationship. Him and they're still together. They've been married right now about 20, maybe 22 years.
Okay.
But in the beginning, right? He was still, before they got, you know how guys are in the beginning stages. He was a little wild, a little frisky.
Okay.
She was a good girl. She told him, communicated. Look, do what you want, just don't play with me. Mm-hmm. And it's like when she said it, a lot of people believed her. For some reason, he thought maybe, he could get it one past her. So he, took his time. Anyway, he's doing what he do, right? One day she's like, enough is enough. She snaps. True story. She cuts him from one side to the other. Right? So he goes through that. Family hears about it. She did what? But a lot of times we defend the victim, but it's like they're actually the abuser. So it's like where he was doing what he's doing. Now she's fed up. The family ain't thinking about that at the time. So now she snaps. A good girl. She's, you didn't play with me one too many times. I don't know how to the extent of he played with her, but enough was enough. And she had enough. Long story short, she slices his neck or whatever. Family now says, leave her. You got to be crazy. Stay with the woman, right? They wound up getting counseling. That was 19 years ago.
Been together ever since.
Ever since. And guess what he ain't doing?
He ain't doing that.
He ain't
He ain't playing no games.
He ain't playing no games. So in those situations, can it turn around? In those type of situations?
It can turn around. Now, I would say her reaction to that was very drastic, because what that showed me is that at that moment, she couldn't control her emotion.
I take you away from it.
She could not control the anger emotion, and it got the best of her. And because the emotions are so intense, she just, and that's what that is. And that's what TV show Snap is for, is because people don't know how to check that. They don't know how to control that. And a lot of times, like I said, if you don't know the difference between how emotions work, how that translates into feelings, if you don't see that process, we always tell people you need to control your emotions. Hell, half the people, when you ask them to name emotions, can't even get the list of emotions labeled right. It is one of the most uneducated. People are most often uneducated the most about the reality of emotions and feelings, and that's why people end up where they at.
Right.
They call it crime of passion, but really your emotional state was so out of control that you clicked out. But once it passed, you're like, what did I do? And a lot of people have talked about that, being heightened in the intense emotional state.
Right.
But once it passes, it's like, oh my God, what did I do? Immediately there's remorse, there's guilt. It wasn't supposed to happen. I just, you're not learning how to control that. And that's something that you have to learn how to control. And maybe one day I'll just do, a series, not a series, but just do a topic where we can just cover that in itself, in a more in-depth range for people. Because look, hey, out there.
So what if somebody tell you that? What if somebody say, "I'll kill you. You hurt me, I'll kill you." Should you believe them? Like, this is not for me. I ain't with all that. But like for the viewers,
I take all threats personal and real. Because of the job I used to do.
So,
I've worked with people that hey.
Some women say, if I catch you cheating, I'm gonna cut your stuff off. You should believe them.
I'm a firm believer like this. I think some people say things for scare tactic just to kind of, reel you in, and some people say things and they really mean it. I'm a firm believer. I believe you either way. So if that's how you got to talk to me, then I don't.
Right, we got a problem already. It's bigger than this, right?
Because it lets me know that you take it a little too far when you can just walk out the door.
Right. Okay. That's almost control. Like if I can't,
intimidation. I got you. No, we're not doing that. We ain't doing that. And you can't handle healthy intimate. So I'm saying, when people talk to each other like this, first of all, you're not communicating what it is that you really want in a healthy way, but you're also using intimidation factor or violence to occur to achieve, to get what you want.
Right.
And you're blocking off any opportunity to have real intimacy in your relationship by not being, by not having, just an open conversation about how things really make you feel.
Right.
And so, so we talked about intimacy requires trust and vulnerability.
Right.
But a lot of people find that frightening when you say vulnerability. And many people struggle with intimacy, and the fear of intimacy is a common concern that is often discussed more often than people realize in couples therapy. A lot of people go to, when they go to therapy, intimacy is something that is always discussed. But people can fear intimacy due to a lot of different reasons, or a variety of reasons. Right. We're going to talk about some of the most common, which is abandonment issues. You fear that once someone you become attached to, that individual will leave. Maybe there has been a history of important people or people that they've connected with in their lifetime that are supposed to still be very relevant and present. They're not there.
Right.
That will create an issue, especially in children, if not worked out. Right. So you grow up with that already. If you see me for who I am, and I really tell you what's going on and how I really feel and where I'm really at, and just start telling you all these things, you're gonna leave, and I don't want to deal with it. So I rather just And sometimes these people really like to be surface level, and they're comfortable with surface level relationships,
right?
Because it's on their terms, and we'll get more into that as we go on. So just kind of keep some of these things in the back of your mind, okay?
Right.
The second one is rejection. You might worry that once you reveal any flaws or imperfections, the other person will no longer, want to be with you.
Right.
That's a very real thing. You talked about it. Wanting to be so open and comfortable the first time that you're ever really at that level of intimacy where you take your clothes off.
Right.
You're standing in front of somebody butt naked with the lights on. Yeah, clothes make us look real good. But when the clothes come off, you can have scars or marks, or you know what I'm saying? Like your body, we go through things. Like now it's all out there. And to have somebody just looking at you, that can make people feel very uncomfortable. So people do often fear rejection. I like to use this statement as an opportunity to say, we do so much to ourselves, both men and women. I was looking at I had caught an old episode of Baywatch the other day. Boy, I couldn't believe they were. Boy, look, I don't know. Okay, it was all I clicked it. I hadn't seen Baywatch in years. I was like, thanks, But I looked at, but then a commercial had come on.
Right.
And David Hasselhoff was on the commercial.
Oh man.
That baby done did some work to his face. He trying to hold on to.
He tried to keep it. He tried to keep it crunk.
Look, we've got to get past this thing where we're willing to slice and alter ourselves. What is that really about? We're fear rejection. People in Hollywood do it because they want to maintain getting roles. We're altering ourselves because we regularly would feel like we would be rejected at whatever state we are. So we need to alter that to reduce the fear of rejection. That's how I kind of like to phrase that. Control issues. You may fear losing your independence as you become emotionally connected to others. This is something.
I don't know what Rob said. Yeah, and then he got the nerve to put this right behind it.
I know that was the last part. No, but control issues.
Right.
You may fear losing your independence as you become emotionally connected to someone else. So a lot of people have a hard time understanding what the transition of a relationship really looks like, or a healthy one. So there may have been something in their past, an incident, or maybe with their parents that they may have witnessed, where independence, once you give that up, and I become connected to you, then I'm losing my opportunity to maintain a level of independence. And so that's a misconception. And then you also have past Past abuse, a history of childhood, especially sexual abuse, may make it difficult for you to trust others. So these things here, okay, for anybody here tonight that's watching, if you have issues with these, you're not ready to proceed.
Stop right there.
You're not ready to proceed as far as getting into a relationship or even being in a situation where you think that you're ready to date, because you're not. You're not there. People don't understand. You got to let yourself heal. Give yourself time. A lot of times we think we're ready in certain areas because maybe we was in a relationship, that relationship ended. Maybe it ended emotionally for us before, a year or two before it actually ended. Now you out there, you think you're ready, but you really ain't ready. Because there's a lot of other unresolved things that are attached to that. So really work through that last relationship. Process that, heal from that, grow from that, so that you can move forward becoming the best person that you're trying to be, so that you can be in the best relationship that you want to be. So I tell people, if you're really working through, if you really got some of these issues, it's worth going and talking to somebody about it.
Right.
Because these are levels of trauma that need to be addressed. And this is you can't have anything but surface level. And like I said, we'll talk about people who use these, use a couple of these, and utilize them as surface level relationships. And a lot of those are situationships and things like that. So I'll make sure that we come back to that. So people can also use your intimacy against you. Okay. So that's something that I wanted to make sure that I brought up. If you go through the process correctly, right? Here's the thing.
Break it down for him.
Here's the thing. When you're dealing with intimacy, right? That should be something that's going back and forth equally. Okay? Don't be the person. Listen, look at me. Do not be the person, okay, that's telling all your business to somebody else, but they're never in sharing anything about themselves. Know when you're comfortable. See, intimacy should flow in a manner where it's kind of like, you talked about the basics, right? Your basics, your standards, the things that are really important to you, boom. You left that there, but now we can get a little deeper as time goes on and maybe discuss why we got to some of those things. We talked a little bit about past relationships. It gets deeper and deeper and deeper, but it's going back and forth. You're getting to know each other back and forth at the same time. It shouldn't be nobody asking you all these questions, and a lot of times it's women that fall for this. And I need us to do better. Okay, I need us to do better.
Right.
You got a brother that sounds so dang awesome, and he talking to you, and you just want to. I just feel so comfortable. I just feel like I can tell you my whole life. Cut it out. Cut it out. Cut that.
Right.
This is where I need you to have the control.
You can't get into control now. Hold on, I got to put my foot down right here. You can't just
Right.
give the control for the fellas now. I'm talking. The fellas need the control. What's going on right now? What part of the plot twist is this in the story?
Listen. People who are emotionally raw and vulnerable are usually people that find themselves most in this position.
Right.
They're talking to somebody, maybe they haven't had that in a long time. It's flowing good, it's going good. It's like a breath of fresh air. You find yourself spilling everything way too soon. You're doing things way too soon. You're moving too fast.
Yes, I've been guilty.
But then you look back. You know a couple of things, but really you don't know enough where they know everything about you. And it was easy to use that against you. Intimacy needs to flow back and forth equally, okay? So we can avoid it being used against you. Now, if someone and maybe it's going back and forth, and then they show their true colors or something, and they say something that you told them, and they take it to the next level. Maybe they share that with somebody, and they broke trust. Look, do not beat yourself up for being honest about telling nobody nothing when you felt like you were genuinely in a space together to be able to do that. If they violate your trust, that is not a direct reflection of you. That is a reflection of them, and you can't beat yourself up about that. Because you have to be willing to let people in to be able to experience and to really find what it is that you're looking for. It's a risk either way. But the risk should be back and forth. And it should be mutual on both ends. Okay? So, how do we effectively build intimacy in a relationship? We kind of talked about this. Be patient. Get to know somebody truly. Getting to truly know someone is a serious time commitment. Period, point blank. The trust building process is often a slow one. Intimacy is not a race. Okay? Start with the easy stuff. We just talked about that. If you find it easier to talk about the future than the past, then start by sharing your dreams and goals. As trust builds, you may find it less frightening to talk about more difficult topics. Hello?
All right, she said she had to catch it on the replay. She got an assignment.
Okay.
All right, thank you for checking in. We definitely appreciate it.
I'm glad you did your homework too, girl.
All right. Okay. Jewel, what's up, Jewel? Yo, long time, yo, Jewel the artist. Look.
Hello, and welcome. So, yeah, start somewhere easy. Just like it said, start somewhere easy. Okay? Talk about the future over the past. Start there. Goals, dreams. As you get more comfortable and they're sharing and you're sharing, you cool. It becomes less frightening to open up because they're opening up right along with you.
Right.
So as it progresses, it does become less uncomfortable or less scary to start sharing some of those things because you less likely feel like you're going to be judged by those things.
Right.
Okay? Talk openly about your needs. We talked about this. Standards and boundaries that don't waver. But so since we're not going to waver those, we got to be open about what it is that we need. Because if we're at that stage, if we're going from there to here, we should be healthy.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? So talking about what you need openly should not be a difficulty for you at this stage, right?
Right.
Are you someone who needs a lot of time alone? Maybe to recharge your batteries. Right. How often do you like to have sex? You can prevent a lot of misunderstandings if you tell your partner plainly and openly what you want instead of assuming that they know what your desires are. Right. Okay? Right. That's important. And then respect each other's differences like we talked about. Right. Even the most intimate partners will still have their own identities. You're not getting away from this individual identity thing. Right. Two individuals, two different identities coming together as one to make a very unique and dope relationship. You still need to be those individuals to maintain that dope, unique relationship. Okay. You and your partner do not have to agree on everything to love each other. You just don't. Right. I don't agree with my husband on everything. I know he don't agree with me on everything. Love him to death. Right. But we can respect that. Doesn't change how we feel about each other. Okay. So those are the important steps of intimacy. Right. Intimacy affects us emotionally as we begin to integrate the sensations of emotions into feelings that become more sustainable as we move forward in the relationship. Okay. Now, we're getting ready to move on to a bang.
It's about to get real. This is it right here.
No, look, this is it. Right here.
To be loved. Oh, what a feeling.
Listen to me.
Be loved.
I need y'all to understand. We're going to be talking about emotions and feelings in this one.
Right.
This section, I need you to focus, okay? Put your comments, questions, all that stuff down there. Because look, a lot of people got this particular section so messed up, and I'm about to help y'all fix it. Some of y'all out there got it. Some of y'all don't. It's okay. We're gonna get through this thing together, girls. And ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna get through it together. Love is often a word that is loosely used, period, point blank. And it's usually loosely used to convey how we feel about many things. See, when you throw a word around so loosely all the time, you get so used to hearing it, you become desensitized to it. Somebody say, "Oh, I love tacos. I love my children. I love watching The Simpsons. I love this. I love that. I love this. I love." You're using it so much that it loses the value of what it should actually mean. Right. It's just like watching crime shows all the time. You become desensitized. So when you start to hear it on the news, your shock value is not even there no more. Right. You got to be careful with desensitization. Okay. Right. Do not use that word loosely. It is not, because it don't hold the same weight when you don't use it that often, and then when it is used, it's so much more powerful. You get what I'm saying? Right. So we should not use this word loosely, and we often lack true understanding of what love really is. He picked it up for you. He picked it up for you. Y'all over here singing. Y'all over here singing a song. Okay.
That's for single people. That's paradise for us. For single people, that's the American dream. Like we were right. We made it. Someone to kiss.
And y'all know, you know what? And y'all gonna get there though. Y'all gonna get there. And I got faith in everybody who is single, that y'all will find somebody that's really going to be that person for y'all. Especially when you got good tools to go out there and approach it with. That's a fact. That's the key thing right there. Right. You know. So love, what is the definition? We're gonna do the basic definition for everybody. Love is a feeling, strong or constant affection for a person. Okay? It's a feeling of strong or constant affection for a person. It's constant. Right?
I'm going.
But love is a feeling. It is not an emotion. So, before we move on, we're going to break this down. All right. I'm going to break this down for everybody. Let's see if I can move this a tad, because I see. Okay. There we go. So, feelings. Okay. Feelings and emotions. Let's break this down right quick.
Break it down.
Emotions are an immediate physiological response to a stimulus, right? Chemicals released throughout our bodies that last a duration of seconds to mere minutes. Okay? That's it. And they last. Once it's over, it'll go away, right? The intensity will decrease. Emotions can regulate every cell to adapt. So basically, like, look at how powerful emotions are. If you were being threatened, your body's going to go into fight or flight response, right? That adrenaline, all of that is a powerful feeling to keep you alert and vigilant, right? That is the same way that emotions are intense, like. So I just want to use that as an example, people to understand the intensity that I'm talking about. Now, feelings is the physical and the mental sensations that arise once we internalize our emotions. Right. So it's something that transitions. Okay, so it goes from, I'm trying to think the best way to say this without being all scientific. Right. So, okay, feelings are more like this. They cause us to pay attention and react to perceived threats or opportunities, right? We're acting on emotional data. So that's how your emotions kind of work, right? I'm really trying to figure out how to break it down so that I can make it make sense in the best way possible. I wanted to get this printed, but it kind of messed me up a little bit. Okay, so let's kind of use it like this.
Okay.
Emotions are illogical. They are irrational and unreasonable. They come from the limbic system that is separate from our neurocortex of our brains. So this is really about a brain, about how our brains really respond, okay? The part of the brain that deals with conscious thoughts and reasoning and decision-making, that's not where emotions lie. That's why when we talk about snap or someone being in a heightened state of an emotion and you just lash out and you done kill somebody, or, you know, somebody done cheated on you, you went and stabbed him. You know, these are emotions. The emotions don't think on a logical, rational aspect. It is an intensity of it's an intense emotion that is going to dissipate at a certain point. But what happens is the emotion, we let that sink in. Let that sink in our minds for a little while. And the more we think about it and let it soak in, now it becomes a physical and an emotional sensation. So now we can say, I feel this way, because now the feelings have been saturated cognitively within our mind.
Right.
So now we transition from that emotion over to a feeling. But a lot of times people will like to say that they mix each other, they go hand in hand. I mean, there's a lot of scientific stuff around that, but it is understanding. It is important for people to really understand that they're not the same thing, but they do go together. Right. It starts here, ends there, okay? So a little bit more an example. Emotions tell us what we like, what we don't like. Emotions state that there are good and bad actions. Emotions state the external world matters, right? Emotions establish our initial attitudes towards reality. Emotions alert us to danger. Emotions ensure immediate survival, right? Emotions are intense, but they are temporary.
Right.
Feelings, on the other hand, tell us how to live. Feelings state that there is no right or wrong way to be. Feelings state your emotions matter, you know. Feelings state the establishing our long-term attitude towards reality. So you see how emotions may be our initial attitude towards something,
right?
But our feelings are going to be our long-term attitude towards that reality.
Right, it's going to help you sustain it, or that's going to give out one or the other, right?
So feelings are what is sustainable. That's the sustainable part. Emotions are not sustainable. They're too short-lived to be sustainable.
Right.
Okay, but what's interesting though, you starting to get a little funky with it, right? You know what I'm saying? When people start playing around with this little love syndrome they got going on out here in the world.
They better not play around out here nowadays.
But what it does is it really does have a tendency to mess people up, because they playing with fire. You don't want to play with fire. Right. And so that's why I said, so when we use the word love, we shouldn't be using that loosely at all. Okay, we shouldn't be using that loosely. Right. And hold on, y'all, because I did something. Now that's my fault. I'm trying to figure out what I've been doing over here. Okay, I was messing with them interchangeably, and I ended up messing that up. Okay, so let me pull this. Okay, so let's talk about love for an example in this context. Okay, when a relationship is new, it's fun, it's enjoyable, we courting and being courted, you know what I'm saying, in the beginning, and we're constantly talking and thinking about the new person in our lives and wanting to spend all our time together and share all our new experiences together. And we want to show how we feel by getting cards or flowers or just sending little cute little text messages throughout that time. Right. Hey, you're consumed, right?
Oh my God.
But love is a choice. So we're gonna break this down a little different. Okay.
So hold on. How can I be consumed then if it's a choice? I'm caught up in the rapture of love right now. Don't you
That's
take me
not the
out of it?
rapture of love. See, you see what we fail to realize is we're in a state where it's new. We're enjoying that state, but we can jump real quickly over into the next phase. Because I'm about to hurt y'all right quick. I love y'all, but I'm about to hurt y'all right quick. Okay. I need everybody to bear with me. Some of y'all know this. Some of y'all know this. If you know this stuff, you know what I'm saying? Give me a high five or something in the comment section. But love is a choice. Who we love and who we choose to love is as much of a choice as it is a feeling. Staying in love takes commitment. After the rosy glow of a new relationship wears off, we must make a decision. Do we want to love this person and commit to a relationship and a life together? Or are we just going to let this person go? Once we made a decision that we found the person that we want to be with, right? And commit to them, the work begins immediately at that point. Go and get it out there. It starts at that stage. We're in this because now we know that relationships have multiple components. Work starts. Ready, set, go, right? Not that it's a bad thing. Not that that's a bad thing. A big part of the work is making our other choices. It is a choice to see the good in our partner every single day. Rather than focusing on the negative things that bother us, we have to accept them and love them for who they are. If we go into a relationship thinking that we can change someone, we're setting our relationship and ourselves up to fail. We all have flaws and quirks and we're weird in some ways. I know I'm weird in some ways. I think my husband's weird in some ways, but I love the fact that we have our unique little weirdness. I think it makes us a dope people. Right. You are weird and I love you, but it's okay. Accepting those differences is a part of love. But see, here's the point that I'm about to hurt y'all a little bit, okay? I want you to think about what you said. I want you to think about what I said. We know that it's a choice. We know that it's a choice. See where we got right here? When a relationship is new, that's that heighten of those emotions. Telling you what you like and what you don't like. And they saying all the right things. And they doing all the right things. And the intimacy is building. And it's just, ooh, we on deck. And it's just hot. It's just hot. Everything's just, ooh, it's just steamy. And then you got to really start logically. See, this is where love gets logical. And that's why I love the feeling aspect so much. When you really start diving into it, those emotions, I tell myself when I get into a certain heightened emotional state of certain things, I'm like, man, this is only temporary. It's not sustainable. But what I do got over here is sustainable. Whether that's anger that I'm feeling, because I consider anger an emotion. It is temporary. It will subside. Disgust will subside. Feelings of achievement and pride and those things, they subside. They go away. They don't last. It's not sustainable. So with love, in order for it to be sustainable, we're having to make the choice to choose that. But true and pure love is unconditional. It's going to get right there, okay?
Say it again. Park it back. Just roll back around the block. Somebody missed it. Yeah, that's what they say. Spin the block with that. They'll hit them again in case we left somebody. We didn't get everybody the first time. Let's get them now. We go back around the block on it. Yeah, we landing on everybody avenue today. Yeah, we coming for everybody today. Yeah, that's it. Everybody getting something. I ain't the only one taking this whipping today. Yeah, I'm recruiting everybody. We all going down. I'm bringing more brothers.
So true. So true and pure love is unconditional. This means we don't love someone under condition. Okay? Because the condition, what is it? The conditions will fail or they will change.
Right.
It is not consistent. What we are telling them is that my love for you will change based on whether or not conditions are met.
Right.
Understand there is a difference between condition and desire. Just want to let that stay in for a second. There's a difference between condition, expectation, and desire. So, give y'all a pretty little picture right quick. All right. I bring this up all the time. I'm gonna bring it in today. Ain't no different.
Right.
God said He loved everyone. He said He don't care that you're a pedophile. We care about stuff like this, right? Because our brains can't fathom on the rationale of what God can fathom. Okay, let's just throw that out there now.
Right.
But God loves the pedophiles. He loves the murderers. He loves the people that have been victims of sexual abuse, domestic violence. He loves gang members. He loves politicians. And they the biggest murderers on the planet. And he loves the Catholics, even though I think that some of that stuff it's just
left field.
We gonna get kicked off that, but they gonna do that because we're gonna get kicked off the air.
Wow.
But my point is, God said He loved everybody.
Right.
God loves us unconditionally. Right? Exactly. So if God loves us unconditionally, but God says, I love you even though you sin. Now, like a father, right? A father will reprimand you for your bad behavior. Right. God says, just because some of y'all go into hell for your bad behavior because you didn't want to repent for it, don't mean I don't love you. You just still gonna get this reprimandation. Right. You still gonna catch his hand. Right. One way or another. Right?
One way or another.
But as parents, see, that's the cool thing that I like about the understanding of God in that context, because even we as parents love our children when they do stuff that's off the dang on wall.
Right.
How many grandmothers do we have that are my age? Right. They don't mean that they don't love them. That do not mean they don't love their children or they love their grandchildren. Right. See what I'm saying? Mamas love their sons, regardless if he out here selling drugs. And so my point is that love is unconditional. Right. Doesn't have a condition to it. Mm-hmm. He didn't say, if you sin, I don't love you. We don't tell our children, I don't love you if you go out here and you murder somebody. Right. Right. Love between two people should still extend that same unconditional status. Right. Right? So that's why it gets deep when we start talking about who you choosing to be with. This ain't no loose step that you should be taking. We talking about forever. We talking about building. We talking about vulnerability. We talking about intimacy. We talking about your life wide open, like
facts.
Exposed.
Realist.
So if you gotta know who you setting yourself up to be with, so that you feel comfortable about that unconditional love. Okay? So it's got to be pure. See, that's why I say a lot of times I think that I say this, I tell my husband this, but I say this to other people, but I tell my husband all the time, I say, I feel blessed to have a relationship with you that I feel like I know some people will spend the rest of their lives trying to find, because they ain't willing to do it right to get that. You can't cut no corners. Okay?
No corners, not even small, no corner.
No. And when you put conditions, and see, guys do this to women and women do this to men. So I want you to think about those wish lists that you keep on that everybody wanted to talk about the last time. So we're going to put it out there. Oh, he got to make 6 figures. That's a condition. Oh, she gotta cook every day. That's a condition. Right. Okay, she gotta be beautiful, and I want her skin to be mocha brown, and I want her to, head just a bouncy and
no bad feet.
Condition. the state of something with regard to its appearance, quality, working order have a significant influence on determining the outcome or the manner or outcome of something.
Miss J, she said that's real.
No, that's real, for real. Because what you telling me is whoever saw it, what was the movie? Dang it, what was the movie? Stop the Y'all. Y'all remember Stop the Y'all? Everybody saw Stop the Y'all.
Yeah.
When she saw when Megan Good saw him dancing on the dance floor with that girl. And she got upset about it. And he saw it. And he came over there and was like, "Oh, I was just adding a little flavor or whatever." And she was like, "I didn't like it." And he said, "You keep yourself looking this fine, you ain't never got to work."
You keep yourself, but if the moment you slack, when you start slipping, because you know they want me at the job. Don't think you're the only one. You ain't the only one trying to be the only one. I think that's what Drizzy Drake said.
See, so there's pressure on this condition for real though.
It's both sides. Women do that and men do that.
I mean, really. I think about it, and I couldn't even imagine the women that boy, these rappers and boy, yeah, y'all got to get your life together. That's what you out here chasing. But I'm just saying, like, sure. You would forever be on a conditional status. At least that's how you would feel.
Right.
This is where we get into self-cutting and mutilating and changing our bodies and doing these things and bleaching skin and all of this and that and the other stuff over here, there, and the third, because we want to meet the condition. But baby, if your love is under condition, it's never gonna. You can have it, but it ain't never gonna produce the fruit or give you that real intimate connection, a vulnerability, something. This is how I like to explain. You can feel God in a relationship when it is unconditional, because every day you have to show grace and mercy and love towards each other. You'll never get that depth of a relationship if you're putting conditions on. Which means everything that you earn in that relationship was conditional. The intimacy was conditional. The love is conditional. It's not healthy.
Just like that, it's gone. It was there, and just like that, gone.
And we're gone tomorrow. And was gone tomorrow. Same thing with I guess I didn't put that on there. I'll come back to it. It's okay. Desire. Desire is a strong feeling of wanting to have something or wishing for something. You're wishing for something. It's to wish strongly or to want something. Right. Desire says, I really want this. I wish for you to do these things. Right? So desire is one of those things that we should have in our relationships and not conditions. Okay. We also shouldn't be plaguing our relationship with expectations. So relationships and love are often plagued with conditional love and expectations instead of learning the art of communicating desires. Right. So expectations is a belief that someone will or should achieve something. So not only is it conditional, but now it's expectational on top of that.
Because you knew what I wanted. I shouldn't have to tell you what I want. That's how they sound. That's what they said right there. I shouldn't have to tell you what I want.
Right.
And then they go for your manhood. You're supposed to be a man, right? Why should I have to tell you how to love me?
It's Just Right. That movie, Just Right. I love that movie. Right. But Just Right, when Paula Patton, comes to the conclusion that she thought that, Common was never gonna play basketball no more in the movie. And she up and left because she was afraid that she wasn't going to get something. Her expectation was that he needed to continue to play ball so that she could be somebody.
Right.
So I expect you to maintain this job because that's a condition for my love, because it's also going to be a benefit for me to be able to be somebody without having to do all the work. I get to do it off of your back.
Off of your hard work, your sweat, your tears.
Right.
Break it down. Break it. They too comfortable in the comments. They ain't even talking. Don't get quiet now, yo. Come on now. Don't leave me out by myself, y'all. Put them comments in there, yo. Y'all know I'm going through. She beat me down. I'm getting hit with a switch after the weekend I just had. She teared me.
But in reality, that's really what I mean. When you think about it and you see it in that light, right, it's heavy. But a lot of times we dismiss certain things. See, even when I watched the film, I looked at it critically and was like, that's jacked up. Like, and she was like, well, why would you do that? You know, she went and saw homegirl, so why would you do that? And she was like, because I want to be somebody. So you didn't go and make it for yourself. Now you're requiring someone else to be the driving force of your ability to be successful. So it is an expectation on them and a condition. Because the minute he couldn't play, the love was conditional, she rolled out. Right. So men and women will do each other like that. And we really have to be, my cat at the door, he's going to be outside because I ain't going to get him. You really have to be careful with that. Okay, so you really want to, this is when the intimacy standards, you know, boundaries. When we're in that dating phase and we're talking about these things, we should be talking about this type of stuff, okay? So when you expect the relationship, when you expect that your relationship is meant to be a certain way and that expectation doesn't happen, this can create feelings of sadness, anxiety, and despair. Okay? It can spark resentment, which ruins relationships. Or what we can say is we often enter into relationships on false pretexts. Get into that false pretext. Or rushing because we have not done the process correctly, like having sex too soon and making the high intense emotion connection to the action that has given a false sense of intimacy, which gives us a false sense of love. Okay? So for an example, what did I do? This was not my, was that my example? Okay, yeah, so for an example, I'm gonna break it down like this. These start to create problems, especially when it comes to marriage, right? Right. We have an imaginary version of what our perfect husband or wife should look like, okay? In our heads.
In my phone.
We know what we like. We all know what we like.
I got it on my phone.
You know what you like. You see it.
Right.
It's gonna be like this. Right. Cinderella, Snow White, all them little movies was messed up for children, for little girls' childhoods. Because they didn't, no, I'm serious. Think about it. Predictive programming at its finest. Right. It taught you that this is what it's supposed to be like. You hear grown adult women say, oh, I want the fairy tale. What?
What?
You know what I'm saying? Like, right. It blows my mind because fairy tales aren't real.
Say that again. They want the fairy. They want the not real. That's what they're saying. They want
fairy tales are not real. Right. You don't know what Cinderella went through on the other side. They ain't never show that part. They ain't show what Sleeping Beauty went through. They ain't show none of that. None of it. And all had magic in it too. Everybody got a little bibbity boppity boom, a little magic, little sprinkle.
It's deep.
But a lot of girls, when we're growing up, we have this idea, we get this in our minds, then we got the world around us is trying to shape that identity, you know, our peers, you know, we expect a certain thing. Right. You got to get out of that, and men do too.
Facts.
You know, we've got to change. We've got to change this imaginary vision, right? Because what happens with this imaginary vision is when someone does come along and they don't meet the expectation of the vision that we see in our heads, which is not a reality, right, it messes up. Yet we continue to not, we go off again and we continue dreaming about having a perfect marriage.
Right. Wow. So you said that. Let me tell you something real quick before we go. Right there, because it's like the same thing you just said. I never thought about that. So you said it. How the woman, right, as a child, the princess is, the fairy tales, all this. But the man, the little boy, he sees the prince that has to fight the dragon to get the woman. So now, do you think that plays a part in society now, where it's like everybody trying to one up, where it's like, even back in the day, where it's like little kids, your first crush, we'll race for her. I'm gonna fight you for her. Whoever fights, she's my girl. Do you think that plays a part based on that too, as well, from like growing up as a child, watching that same story, how the woman walks away thinking, I want the fairy tale, how the boy is thinking, I have to fight for the princess?
I think men naturally, with the testosterone, I think men are naturally competitive in nature. I believe that. Lord have mercy. He talking about, yeah, we competitive by nature. Then won't be on the show tonight. We want to go and get the little.
Send them the link. Yeah, send them the link. We still got time. Yeah,
send them the link. Don't let him pop up up in there right quick.
I'm gonna send it to you. While you doing that, I'm gonna send it to his phone. Right quick.
Okay. I think that men are naturally competitive in nature. I do believe that. I also believe that there's a difference with. I think men have been taught and programmed that they have to believe that they have to be a certain stature or be the best of something in order to obtain favor. So we're both working equally hard, right? Both men and women are working equally hard to obtain something. Instead of realizing that if you're just yourself and you're just honest with yourself, you're going to find someone that's going to be that same with you. See, we're so out of touch with reality right now. Right. That when you find people that are in touch with reality, it's like a breath of fresh air. But the people that are in touch with reality don't want to be with people that are not in touch. They still lost in the sauce. Right. So you got to get rid of these unhealthy ideologies. You got to get rid of these unwarranted, these false pretenses. Get gone with them, because there is going to be no love on the other side of that with that. So when you think about it, like you saying, okay, I want to continue to, they move on from one person to the next, still thinking about continuing to dream about the same or wanting the perfect marriage, right? Which will only make our expectations more unrealistic. We might believe that the perfect spouse should respond to situations, like you were just saying, in a certain way, right? Oh, well, when this happens, he need to go over there and do this. When this happens, she need to go over there and do that. You know what I'm saying? This is but we are human, so we've all done it, right? Even in my own marriage, I've said to my husband, well, you should have had did. He was like, well, why should have did that? We have to realize that we're not in a relationship with a person that we control and dictate. We're in relationship with someone else who has their own being, their own mind, their own everything. When we want them to respond a certain kind of way, it's never going to happen the way that we think that it should, because we're not them. And even though we can say we feel the same way, how we feel those things are entirely different. I'll never feel something like someone else will, because I'm not them. Right. And they're not me. So you really have to look at it like that. Right. You thinking that, oh, well, he should respond or she should respond a certain kind of way in this situation if you really love me. You would say he would already know how to respond to your every need because that's what a real husband or a real wife does. No, you got that expectation all misconstrued. And you're going to be by yourself playing that game. Okay. Remember this. Your heart gets filled with falsehoods because you fall in love with an idealized character. It will slowly and inadvertently destroy your home's foundation. Especially for people, I say that for people who are in marriages with people because they've idolized them to be a certain kind of way that they were not even close to be. Now you in it and your home is being destroyed because of that. Okay? The belief that your marriage should be perfect will rob you of true joy and happiness within a marriage or even in a healthy relationship, right, and potentially cause you to lose it all. Okay? Proverbs 14:1 says,
it's getting hot. You see me over there drinking? I'm sipping. You're getting hot. It's getting hot in here right now.
Proverbs 14:1 says, a wise woman builds her home, but a foolish woman tears it down with her hands. Okay? But I believe that statement. I believe it, but I also believe that men can equally do the same. Now, God doesn't give them that. God doesn't give us that scripture for men, but I believe that is a very true statement. Right. You can tear something down, and I'm going to tell you how you tear it down, because whenever we set up an expectation that our partners don't meet, we feel let down. We feel let down. We set them up to disappoint us and ourselves to only be open and hurt about it. This is only going to cause anger and resentment in your marriage or your relationship. It will remove feelings of love because that love was conditioned. It will remove the safe space and choke out your ability to be authentic and vulnerable, which are important for intimacy on all levels in your marriage or your relationship. Right. Okay? So we fall short of being able to meet everything our partner wants all the time. It is imperative that we understand our shortcomings and not assume that they can read our minds. Communications about desires are what's most vital for a healthy relationship. Okay? Now, I get it. There are some healthy expectations, but they don't apply to this realm. Okay? Right. These would be expectations that are important for day-to-day life. If you expect your child's school to start at the same time every morning, that's an expectation, right? You expect the store to have milk and eggs when you go in there because you need to go grocery shopping. You expect your boss expects you to follow your job duties throughout your day. Right. But in relationships, expectations, they don't exist.
All right.
Okay? Standards and boundaries do not waver. It's not an expectation. Let's go ahead and get that out the way. If you did not watch part 1 through now, you need to go back here and watch it so that you know what I'm talking about when I say that, okay?
Right.
Expectations don't live here. Your standard was what's going to get you what you want. Right. Going to get you to lead you to the promised land of what it is that you want. Those boundaries are going to help ensure that those standards don't get stepped on and overrated.
Right.
Okay? Communication is the key aspect to being able to get to this point of the relationship for your intimacy. Now, when we're talking about love and trying to be there and be in that kind of relationship with someone, we have to be willing to share our desires with them. Desires are not expectations. Okay? Desires, when met, they give us a feeling of thankfulness and gratefulness to our spouse.
Right.
So, go ahead.
So it's getting deep. It's tight and right. You got me over there sweating now. I'm like, I feel like I'm over here in the interrogation room right now. It's getting real though, but it's real truth. We need
No, it is. But see, a lot of times people are not ready. They're not ready. See, this is how you get people ready for stuff like this. And this is for everyone. Like, sometimes we think we're ready, but we're really not ready. Sometimes we got to figure out more things about ourselves, or we got to get certain things in order to be able to be in this mental space, emotional space, to be able to equip ourselves to do this in a manner that's going to be beneficial. Understand, spouses are not perfect, and you're going to have things that arise in your relationships. But the goal is to show you how to have some of those things in a healthy manner. Right. You know? Because again, we must acknowledge that all of us do things that can annoy our spouses or vice versa. And we have to decide if the things we are focusing on, big or small, will fester and create problems. And rather or not, we're choosing to stay and love them unconditionally, or if the problems are going to break trust and cause long-term damage that our relationships cannot recover from. But it is critical that we understand how we've gotten to this state. We've accepted our partner for who they are, and we must not try to change them. So now if we're trying to go into the changing phase, the question becomes, or did we really accept it? Did we accept it, or did we accept what we thought it would be versus what it really is? So again, conditional expectation, false pretenses. Because I'm gonna tell you how we end up here. Sex.
Oh no!
Most common. No. Listen, I'm setting y'all up for that.
Let me put my hat back on. Oh my God!
Y'all ain't gonna like it, but I'm gonna break it down right quick. We're gonna give a little sip of my juice.
Man, let me take a drink too. It's getting real, yeah. It's getting too real right now.
Sex is the most attachment that we will. Okay, let's not say attachment. Okay. So I see you got it up here. Let me just scroll down to that point so I can get my. We're not there yet, but I'm just trying to.
Let me take it off. Let me take it off there. Nah, let's walk them off. Bring them up to speed. Yeah, we don't want to let them know because it's about to get real.
Sex before true intimacy, like the developing stages and things like that. See, we get wrapped up when we don't do things the right way. And we talked about that. Sex brings intense emotions. Okay? Really intense emotion. And what happens with that, and when we get to the sex part, I'll get further into it. But what happens with that is we fester, and now we attach that intensity, and we want to make that thing sustainable. I want that. I want to feel like that all the time. Right? Now you done got yourself into a thing that you think that you're in love, but the love comes with certain conditions. You don't even realize that it comes with conditions because it's a false pretense of something.
Right. So
you can't be grateful and thankful and because you're not in a state of clarity for that. It's not happening like it should.
Right.
Okay. So I'm just gonna get down here to the sex part, so I can go and break it on home for y'all right
now. I was trying to stall too. Yeah. Man.
But love, listen to me. Love is a beautiful thing.
Right.
And when you vet people and you do your process like you're supposed to, when you get to that portion, you're going to be willing to love unconditionally who you're with because you and this person have traveled the process and the journey together.
Right.
You didn't cut no corners because sex gives us the illusion of so many things that are not real. It's not sustainable. Anybody that's been married for a long period of time will tell you it's not sustainable. Hell, people that have been in relationships and ain't even been married have been with somebody longer than what? A year. Can say after a year, 2 years, the sex is going to change anyway. The intensity is going to change. It's not as new as it was. But you don't have the other processors or the other things to build on to even make sex sustainable in a relationship in a healthy way. So let's go and bust everybody here right up. Everybody quiet tonight.
They quiet. That's why I'm like, what's going on? I ain't got nobody ain't got my back out here. I'm out here jumping out here. There ain't nobody standing with me. Y'all put
We
them
must ain't got
comments
nobody
on.
watching tonight. It must be just me and you tonight, baby, because I just ain't nobody saying nothing.
Ain't nobody saying nothing. There's crickets out there right now. What in the world? Wow. They in there. We got people watching. Yo, they just listening. They like me right now. Like, yo, he was on right now. Yo, I'm just soaking it up.
So they want to have the hot water. So sex. Here we go.
You go.
Break it down. We all know that sex is sexual activity, including specifically sexual intercourse. Okay? Sex is a complicated topic. For some, based on needs, based on beliefs around sex, we know that sex is considered a need on Maslow's hierarchy, which is debatable for some at this point. But Maslow says that sex is up there with the needs of food and breathing. It is a need as far as it is just as strong as the need for food or breathing. Now, this is debatable, like I said, but before we get there, sex is to ensure the survival of humanity. It is used to reproduce, and it is used for pleasure, and it also to express feelings of love between partners and spouses. Okay? Now, that being said,
I think I'm skipping around. Go ahead. I'm gonna follow you. I think I'm over there twisted.
Sex can be sex can be very powerful. We all know that. It can have wonderful, long-lasting effects, just as it can have negative consequences that can last a short time or a lifetime. Okay? Sex is often so heavily promoted because it plays on the primal instinct. It is natural to feel attracted or even have thoughts of lust towards someone or seeing someone. The difference is the control and the rationality and the critical thinking that is attached to that.
Right.
Okay? I've heard married men. There used to be this guy that used to have a radio show in Tennessee. But he made the statement one day. He said, they were talking about infidelity. And he was like, boy, he said, you don't think I'm thinking about cheating? He said, because I do. He said, because there's some bad women out here, you know. But he was like, the reality of it is, he said, I fast forwarded in my mind. He said, I fast forward the whole thing. So say we get together, we do this thing. I done had an affair. Now that I done had the affair, what happens next? Is you going to be attached? Am I going to feel attached? What does that do to my marriage? What does that do to my kids? What does that do to everything? So some people have a level of thinking past that. I've heard, me and my husband, we've had wonderful conversations, and I'll just bring him up for a good example. My husband always says, people get infatuated with so many different things. Oh, she's pretty. She got a big old booty. Well, what does that mean? Her booty might, what if she got, what if she, her farts are worse because she got a bigger booty? Or what if she, her feet stink? Like, my point is to say this, right? We have to bring ourselves down and remove people from the pedestal that we place them on. Because what happens is, when it comes to sex and sexual desire and lust, we don't ever bring ourselves down to a reality that these people have flaws too. We don't critically think ourselves through it. Instead, we let the emotion, the intensity get the best of us and lead us into doing something that we shouldn't have done or didn't vet out appropriately before we got here. Now we in entanglements and situationships and all kinds of different things.
That's how it happens.
And sometimes, and not even to be, not to be funny, but I've told my husband, I said, I think women think about the hygiene aspect of men too, just as much as men think about the hygiene aspect of women. I've seen good looking guys and be like, yeah, but he probably got, like light skinned dudes. I used to always be like, they had complexes. I used to think they had complexes. Everybody know El Chico the bar. He was, hey, light skinned brothers, but they say they ain't been in since the 90s. I ain't gonna sit there and say they not in because they ain't out there in the world. But I'm just gonna say, we as when back in my day, we used to kind of be a little about that, light skinned men seemed like they was really pretty all the time. They was always brushing their hair. They take longer to get ready than you would.
Hold on. So you telling me Prince woman style back then?
No, I said Prince was in style.
Okay. All
right. The
right.
light skinned brothers ain't been in since the 90s, though, real talk.
So no Drake, no Chris Brown.
I don't like Drake like that. Chris Brown's attractive though, but he wasn't when he was young. See, Chris Brown, one of them people, he look better as he get older.
Okay.
But I mean, that's my opinion.
Right.
And then Prince was a beautiful man, but Prince wouldn't have been my type of man. Okay. Sorry. Yeah. Just not what I like. I like a man's man. That's what I like. I don't. That's just, but see, that's me being me. I don't want my man wearing guideliner and makeup and high heels and all that stuff. Prince was great. I loved him. He was a great singer. I think he was a dope person, a dope artist. Mm-hmm. But you can't be in a relationship with Prince and not feel insecure. How his hair gonna look better than mine? Baby, makeup be flawless. You saw he get around in them little high heel boots. Nobody got time for that. Nobody got time for that kind of competition. I ain't got time for this. Light skinned dudes, they different. I don't know if I got any light skinned dudes watching the show right now.
They're logged out after that. After you say he got it.
But but that's always been my thing. Like, so I can look at a man and say, oh, I think he's attractive, but based on what I see, mannerisms, things like that, I'll break it down. My husband always tells me I'm hard on people. He said, because but that's how my brain works. And then he also got to think about what I do for a living. So I try to read past. But that's what people have to do. You want to, I'm not saying that lust and attraction is not healthy, because it is to a certain extent. Lust can get you in trouble if you don't check that thing. The good books say that. The good books say that. But attraction is natural. Right. It's natural for us to feel attracted. You know what I'm saying? To the opposite and whatever. It's normal for us to feel that. Right. It's natural. However, you just gotta be rational and think about, if you're in a dating phase, you think about sex and where that falls in your line and how you're going to navigate with that, because it will cause issues. People try to distinguish the difference between sex and making love. Is there really a difference? Because at the end of the day, sex is based on physical attraction, emotional connection, love and desire, and the want to express your feelings for someone, the connection. Right. Sex is never without some form of emotion, and that is why so many people have negative experiences with casual sex or hooking up, thinking if we have sex, the relationship will develop. Now, down here in the bottom who may have abandonment issues, right?
Right.
So let's just use this as an example. They got abandonment issues. They're not going to be very emotionally open with you. But sex may be where they pour all their emotion. The nonverbal emotion.
Right.
So now you have this intensity, this intense emotion, and this super intense sexual connection with someone where you can feel the energy flowing right between the two of you.
Right.
But outside of their act or everything, there's absolutely nothing. There are many women and men who are in these situations and it drives them mad. But that abandonment issue, they're not open to give you anything anyway. But don't think that just because they got issues and they're afraid to be vulnerable and intimate with you on an emotional level that requires communication,
Right.
they still want to feel a connection too. So their goal when they're intimate with you is this is how they hook, line, and sinker you.
Rock your world. Frickly.
If I can bring you this way,
Right.
then you have an attachment to me because I know how to bring the emotion sexually. Now, the person who's receiving the emotion or the intensity of frequency that they want it to be sustainable.
Right.
So now they're looking to try to transfer those into feelings. But it's not sustainable if the other person doesn't want to cooperate with that. That's why sex is dangerous.
Right.
When you're playing with fire sometimes. And I'm not saying that people shouldn't be having or they should be or whatever, but you know my motto, hey, if you can wait because you're playing with that.
Right.
You're playing with stuff that, and you don't know what the other person on the other side is until you vetted them enough. But this is just one of those things. I can't connect with you I can't give you the emotional intimacy you want, but I can give it to you non-verbally and get you connected. Now you in a situationship where you want more and they don't want more because they can't give you all the intimacy that you need. But you got to really reality check yourself because the reality was this is a false pretense of a relationship because in your mind, you thinking, no, I can make this sustainable if you just let me in. But what you're not looking at is the trauma and all the issues that have they're attached to this person that have caused them to be this way. You know what I'm saying? Now they like this. You think you Mr. or Mrs. Fix It. If you just let me in, I'm gonna make it better. We're gonna get through it. But then really, if you really got in there and saw everything,
You're gone. I'm out of there.
you want to be out of there anyway. But you're trying to make that feeling because emotions tell us what we like and we don't like, right? It tells us what we like and what we don't like. Emotions state that there's no good or bad action. None of that. You know. So your emotions is and then make it even worse for y'all. I'm gonna go ahead and go and break this down a little further for y'all right there.
Now we here now. It's real now.
So what we gonna do is sex should not be weaponized, but in this form it is. Sex should not be weaponized without fear of consequence because sex releases antioxidant, a chemical that lingers up to 2 weeks. We talked about this before. 2 weeks. Sex gives us an intense emotion that once it's over, the antioxidant lingers in our brains and is now converting as we're mulling over it, right? As we're going over it, because that's what we do, especially women. We do it. We we thinking about it, and men are thinking about it. But see, men handle theirs a little bit differently than women. Right. But you're thinking about it, and now you're trying to converting those emotions over into feelings. See, a lot of times it's more on the woman's end, unfortunately, than it is for the men.
Right.
Because men have a different genetic makeup than women do. Men will not emotionally commit themselves or be open in that regard with women until logically and emotionally it lines up. It cannot just be an emotional connection for men. A lot of times men will not bounce just because they have an emotional connection with you. It has to also logically make sense. So you guys have more of a different step process. Okay. Not saying that this can't happen to men, but most of the time it does. Okay. But now we're converting the emotions over to feelings as we think more about the emotion that we had experienced during that act. But this gives us a false sense of healthy feelings, intimacy, and relationship foundations. We often hear people say that they can have sex and remove the emotion for desired attachment. That is not true. Men feel it too. See, I guess I'm gonna have to go get my thinking cap on.
You have to get it. They quiet tonight. I'm telling you, they crickets tonight.
Crickets. This is odd too. But here's the thing. So let's talk about this for prime example. Like, guy and a girl, they hooking up. Maybe they know each other, but they know each other. They know each other a little bit beyond surface level, but maybe not super deep. Okay. They've been messing around, they creeping, they got the sex is popping. Okay. Sex is popping. Here becomes the problem. The emotion that's being transferred into that act, but there's no emotion being stated outside of the bedroom or outside of the sexual connection, right? So there's going to be the intense need to want to constantly, on most of the time the women's part, to want to have that. So they're always going to be willing to engage, right? Want to engage because they're trying to find a way to get in. Well, okay, if we continue to do this, he's going to eventually let me in. Is he not going to let me in? What's going to happen? You know, we want the desired attachment. We want to attach ourselves to it. So we'll start finding ourselves making justifications for situations that we shouldn't be making justification for. We allowing disrespect to happen. You are allowing so many things to happen because that emotion is so intense. And it taps into you, but it legit almost taps into where that feeling and that emotion kind of mix.
Right.
It's dangerous. Get out of there.
Right.
Stay out of there. Because what happens is the man feels it too. Don't get it twisted. He feel it too. But see, he gonna avoid you for X amount of days. I'm gonna talk to you like that.
Right.
He may talk to you over the phone, but he ain't gonna. That lets you know when you go through that stage that he ain't trying to really deal with you like that, because he doesn't. Because that oxytocin, what is it called again? The oxytocin.
Right.
I can't pronounce. My pronunciation for that is terrible. I call it oxytocin.
There you go. With like oxytocin. Yeah, oxytocin.
It's lingering for him too for 2 weeks. You ain't the only one that's lingering. But see, women, we are emotional in nature. We desire emotional intimacy. Emotional intimacy is one of the highest things on a woman's hierarchy when it comes into a relationship. That is what we want.
He been in here hiding, now he come out strong. He coming back strong, Rob.
Look, you can't. Where are we at? We talking about what expectation? So there won't be any. Be more specific. Why not say about sex? You can't do that because it's a real chemical release. See, you can sit. That's why I said people sit here and say I can have sex without a desire. It's not realistic. It ain't realistic. You playing with fire. People, Sigh. Did we just talk about old girl cut my man's neck?
Cut his neck from here to here.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah. Snap everything.
So it lets you know how intense. Now fuel that relationship that she had with him sexually on an emotional, intimate level you know what I'm saying? And experiential intimacy, probably spiritual, and every other level they had and their level of openness. Mash that all into one and then try to play with somebody like that. Explosion. So you can see, even if you remove all of the other stuff, and now you just doing this, and this is where the emotion meets. It's playing with fire. But a man will distance himself from you to let that wear off, or he'll try to talk to other females or whatever it is to try to wear that off.
Trying to take me out. Yeah.
Because
you know it. She's trying to take me over. She's trying to take me out. Yeah, I gotta fight it.
Well, we call it the bonding, because now the body's in the stage where it wants to bond. That's why that chemical is so important, because once we've consummated or we've engaged sexually, we've released this hormone that, and I think it's dope, because if you think about how God really created some things, like it's phenomenal within itself. Like, because most of the time people back then they didn't have sex till they got married. Right. So if you had sex when you got married, the first time you had that act, you have this chemical release. It's going to help bring them together, because a lot of marriages were arranged back then.
Right. Ooh, teach him.
So if you really think about I'm just saying, but if you really think about the process of certain things, it's kind of like, then it kind of makes sense. I mean, people were arranged marriages in the Bible.
What?
But after you didn't consummate it, because they didn't have ceremonies like that. So the consummation of the act of sex was how they consummated and said that they were married. So now you have this oxytocin, this lingering for 2 weeks. Now we have the natural hormone flowing that helps us to want to bond together. It makes us want to be more open and more vulnerable, because we feel connected. If that ain't a dope design, and I don't know what is. So if you think you out here playing with it, you only hurting yourself. Okay? So yes, we can have sex with a person and never talk to them again. But it is the need to connect. And we talked about that. I talked about, the replace of emotional intimacy, and maybe having abandonment issues as to why they can't give you the emotional intimacy, but they're willing to connect with you on a sexual level. So sex, again, is the need to be connected. And then we talked about, so basically the emotional intimacy will use the act of sex as a surrogate to have a temporary emotional feeling. So it is the surrogacy. Okay. Mm-hmm. This will cause the other person who consented to grow closer, feeling resentment and anger, which will fester from intense emotion to feelings that will lead to low self-esteem, a poor understanding around the true benefit of a sexual relationship, of a true relationship. Okay, so that's really important. So we'll see when we do that. So again, go back, and we're talking about, oh well, now you want this need to connect. They don't want to connect with you like that, so they're trying to not talk to you. They're trying to distance themselves, whatever it is that they're doing. Now this person who is wanting the connection, who's trying to make themselves available to go deeper, start to feel resentment around it. And that's going to lead to poor self-esteem for them, and then not even really have a healthy understanding of what sex looks like in a relationship.
Right.
So that's the part that's really important for people to understand. So sex needs to be done in a healthy manner.
Right.
See, when you love somebody and you love them unconditionally, and you build intimacy together, and you're sharing your life together, or you're in the process of that. Like I said, I don't give people time frames. I tell people what I think is best, but ultimately you have to make the decision for yourself. So you have to decide when you're ready for sex. And when you're ready,
What if you had in that state, right? And again, I'm just throwing it out there. It's not me. I'm just playing it's the people. I'm the voice of the people.
Mm-hmm.
What if you're in that I have a date with Lisa moment? Where are you emotionally? Where are you? You're not ready, or are you concrete enough, or you just caught up in that feeling?
We're talking about From Coming to America. That's exactly what he said.
That's exactly what he said. I have a date with Lisa.
I think I think he liked Lisa.
Right.
I think there was infatuation with Lisa, a wanting to understand. But I think that there was a mutual thing between them because they were both curious about each other, and they kind of nurtured that. It didn't become inappropriate. I think it's okay to want to feel excited about wanting to see somebody or wanting to date them or wanting to spend time with them or get to know them. I think all of those are great. I think the benefit is if you follow the process like it's supposed to happen, right? And you're dating, and then the intimacy starts to build, and you get to experience more of each other, and things can continue to progress. You start to feel open to wanting to allow yourself to fall in love. You're making the choice to open yourself up for that. Now once you're in the state of where you love someone, I think if you're ready to take that next step on an intimate sexual level, I think that's okay. Because you've done your due diligence to where you feel comfortable enough to do that.
Right.
Now the sex is going to really, really blow. See, sex will really be more, it will be better. It will blow your mind. It'll be more of what you want it to be when you really have that intimacy, because intimacy is knowing someone really well. And when you know someone knows someone, you know what I'm saying? And then you love them. Not only do you get to express the love that you have for them in that act, you know what I'm saying, but you get to share emotion, and the intensity is going to vary because, look, for my couples out there, listen, there was some stuff in here for y'all too, okay? And when it comes to sex, married people, please keep the conversation open around it. And that's going to be different for people that are new in relationships versus people that have been together. You've been together for a while. The passion ain't always popping. So what I like to tell my married folks is make sure that your intimacy is constantly being engaged. Make sure you're always trying to feed your intimacy. Be open about desires. Hey, this is what I would really like from you. If you would do that, maybe, and what a desire is not something that somebody's supposed to give you every day. Okay. A desire is not something that somebody's supposed to give you every week. A desire is when it happens, you're grateful for it. Now you could say, I really love it if you, give me a massage once a week, or if you run my bath water for me and put little bubbles in there, little rose petals, make me some tea or whatever. Right. You can say those things, but you're communicating those things. When we in relationships keep our tanks full, our intimacy tanks full, and we are being consciously aware of trying to meet each other's desires, it makes the sexual intimacy so much easier because it keeps passion alive. Right. It keeps it flowing. But if you don't have that, things will start to dwindle, shrivel, and kind of die up. So even I recommend, like for dating, I recommend my married couples to still go out on dates. You should still be dating and courting each other and having a good time and loving each other and doing those things. Right. Sex, love, and intimacy are a beautiful thing, period. But if you don't use it right, you won't get to where you want to go with it. Intimacy, love, sex should be in that order.
Foundation, now you build the love, now you get to enjoy the creation, which are just like a garden. Plant the seed, water it, now you get to enjoy the benefits.
Right, because y'all made fun of me last week with my cliche. That love is like a flower and needs water so that you can nourish it so to grow. Yeah, chop me up on my little.
It was profound. It was one of those ones that catch you later. It's profound. It was like one of them 2 days down the road. Like, yeah, she said a powerful thing right there.
but really, that's the best analogy to give somebody, y'all. I ain't gonna let y'all do me. You know me and talking about power. But it's a powerful thing. And I believe in that. So today's series was really just about understanding what intimacy is, what love really is,
Right.
and then sex. And we're able to see the benefits, but we're also able to see the pitfalls. The reason I address this as a pitfall is because if we do it right, then it's self-explanatory.
Right.
When we choosing to bounce all around and pick the ones that we want to pick and hop, you messing it up out here in the streets.
Right. And poison ivy in the garden now.
The biggest thing is understand you playing with people's emotions. They are intense. Emotions are intense. Okay? And they can last for seconds, a couple hours, maybe a day or two. So you got to be careful what you're playing with. Communication is key to everything.
That's a fact.
Be open, be honest. If you're not able to communicate the things that you need or the things that you want, then you're not ready. Get out of there. Just go back and exit stage left and figure out what it is that you need to work on so that you can get yourself into the space if you really want to have a relationship. Right. You know what I'm saying? Right. But don't be out here playing with it.
You can't play with it. You never know. Vice versa though. You got crazy people on both sides. You know, I ain't even say crazy. They may be damaged and it's like I opened up to you. I told you. Some people tell you like, yo, don't play with me. Yeah. People are all right, yeah. And now you play with them. Whole nother ball game. So it's like, you know, like you said, that's communicate. They communicate. I've been through some hard stuff. Don't take me back through that again.
I've had people that have been afraid of that. Like, you know, oh, you gonna no, I told you, don't come over here with that. Because that's the way of somebody giving you the out. Saying, look, if you want to do all that, that's cool, but you ain't gonna do it over here.
Not in my gym. Not over here.
Cause I don't, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to deal with that. But then you gotta mean what you say and say what you mean.
Not like Jody. He come in. I know you're mad at that, but you don't mean that.
Right. Gotcha. No. Gotcha. And she didn't. And you see how she went back and forth emotionally. Now, see, they try to dress it all up in the end, see like she was gonna get what she want, but they didn't show you the long-term effects of that moving forward because that wasn't healthy. He wasn't healthy. You know what I'm saying? So there's still things that people have to address and have to do, and that's okay. What you got? You got anything else that you want to put out for homework?
The thing is like you're breaking it down, you know what I mean? The thing is what I'm hearing is this work. It's like, yo, just like anything in life. You can play now, suffer later.
Yeah.
You put it to work and you can enjoy the easy route. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's like just in life. And it's like it's the same God is the same way in all his principles. So it's like if you put the foundation down, then you build the walls, now you build the ceiling. Mm-hmm. Now you move in. The love fills the house.
Right.
It'll stand. Storms come, rain come, the house is gonna stand because you got the foundation, right? You got the walls, you got everything protecting you. The love is inside. So it's like pretty much you building the foundation for y'all to stand on. Mm-hmm. Then you build in the protection that's gonna cover y'all love or keep y'all that love safe if you follow the principles right. So it's like with the boundaries and you go in and you gotta help you healthy, they're healthy. You're communicating and you're telling them what you want, or this is what I'm looking for. Okay, I can do that, or can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
See, okay, now you gave me the power now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you can do what you want just over there.
Mm-hmm.
Because I thought I had to respect them. Okay, they said what they wanted to say. So now, okay, they was honest. This is the understanding I had. They was honest. So now it's on the table. It's stuck on the table.
Right.
I didn't know I had the wild card to say. It's on the table, but not at my table.
Right.
It just took me to another level.
No.
It took me
Look, you put it together though. You see what I'm saying? You put it together, and that's what's dope about it. Like if you really you can see it falling into place. Like each one is almost like a prerequisite for the next one.
Right.
It really does get you geared up to see it in a bigger picture.
It does.
And even doing your homework assignments, you're able to really start navigating and being like, okay, this is what I need to work on. Oh, this is where I'm at. This is where I need to be. This is how I need to get there.
Right. Rob
You know
said
what I'm saying?
Rob said you preaching.
Hey now, show it out over here in the world, okay?
That's how we do it.
But I do like I believe in this, and I just think that so many people could really have the relationship that they want if they're willing to address themselves, their trauma, police themselves up, police up your ideologies, police up your thoughts, police up your negative. Get all that, address that. Past relationships, what happened? What did you do? Nothing is ever one person's fault.
Right. That's the thing.
It's never one person's fault. Hold yourself accountable so that you can really be able to see it and see yourself. Now, next week is dating etiquette.
Right.
Y'all get ready for that.
Right.
Since now we got some stuff, I'm going to show you some different ways on how to apply some things, but dating etiquette is big for me. I am serious about dating etiquette. Okay. Some of y'all gonna like it. I think it is gonna be a great time. It's gonna be an opportunity to laugh and really but it's gonna be a little lighter than we've been, because I know we've been on the heavy.
It helps though. I'm gonna tell you, it helps though, because for real, when you out here in that dating world, right? It's like, to be honest, I joke a lot on the show, but I'm soaking it up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Nowhere am I perfect. Nowhere am I perfect or I got it together. But what I will tell you, right, in a simple conversation, it tells you a lot. Like, boom, it could just be the simplest thing, like, oh, and within 5 to 10 minutes, you know, oh no, you know what I mean? It's either gonna be you're not ready, you still damaged, you holding on to unforgiveness, you still caught up in a past relationship you haven't resolved. But the thing is, like with the whole series that I've learned, it's like, okay, a lot of times it's like we always point the finger at everybody, right? But it's like the thing with the show is it teaches you to take accountability. So it's like, okay, they may have did whatever they did. And that's what you hear a lot of times. People, they talk, it's always what the other person did. It's like, okay, but even in that, right? If we take it back to just the principles, set a boundary, have your standards. If you would have had the foundation, you would never be in that situation. So now you're there, you're complaining. You see people all the time, well, they ... But you allowed it. And then once it started happening, you could have got out of it. People stay and complain, and then it's like now they bring this stuff into the next relationship, still ain't laying no foundation, still ain't setting the boundary. So now they coming in with more baggage, and now this, but you know, the last time I was in this, but it's like you haven't dealt with what you're doing. So it's like with the things that you're teaching, for me, I can't speak for everybody. In simple conversations, red flags is like popcorn, like boop, 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 boop. And it's like, honestly, in the dating world now, I'm quick to say it, it's pee in the pool. They're crapping in the pool. You might find Tampax in the dating pool right now. It's just contaminated, if that makes sense.
Right.
It was like a lot of the times when you talk to people, it's like we're really honest. It may be a real small percentage of people really doing the work or ready to do the work to have a healthy relationship. It's just like anything else. Everybody wants it overnight. They're gonna break the rules. They're gonna take the shortcut, and then they wind up in the ditch. And then it's like, how did I get here? Because they're not doing the foundation. They're not putting the work in. So it's like I definitely appreciate that. And I know for me personally, And it even helps me to deal with people. I'm not being judgmental, but it's like, okay, boom, I see this. So now I have a choice. I have leverage to say, okay, I can deal with this or I won't. You understand what I'm saying? Or it's like, yo, this may be an issue. They may be angry. They may be, may have been abused. They may, whatever the case may be. It's like, it gives me a leverage now to know, like, okay, boom, this is what's required.
Right.
Are you willing to put the work in? And again, for years, a lot of times it's like with communicating, it's like we may think, okay, I'm communicating or the sex is good, we're good. Men can feel like this is a void or this ain't enough. Then it could be the woman that feels like it's no attachment, it's no intimacy, it's no connection. A lot of people say, I want that connection. So a lot of times it's like they just shortcut and go to the end, and it's like, okay, we're in a relationship, but it's like you have nothing to stand on. So when life happens, or social media, anything can break a relationship up if you don't have that foundation. And a lot of times it's like it don't stand. So it's like it's worth it taking your time doing it right the first time, so you don't have to do it over again. Because just like anything else, like you don't do it with this person, it goes bad. You meet the next person, you don't do it, it goes bad. So it's like once you're ready to get off that Ferris wheel, it's like you start applying these things. And I still make mistakes because like we want someone to kiss.
But you're human. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
And it's never gonna be perfect. But it's identifying, hey, you know what, I did that. Maybe next time I'm gonna, whatever. You police yourself up. Right. You catch yourself. You check where your areas are weak at. Because what you're doing when you do that is you're seeing what it is that you really want, but you're telling yourself, I'm not gonna compromise for that. Yeah, this void is not being this void. I got a void. It's not being filled right now, but I still can't compromise anything to get there. I can't take no shortcuts to get there.
Right.
And that's what I say too, for people who are, who are single, look, this is an opportunity in your time, in your life. And I know for some people they ain't trying to hear this, okay? I get it. I know some of y'all ain't trying to hear this. Some of y'all been single for a while, so just bear with me. Right. But it really is an opportunity to continue to self-discover yourself. Sometimes, I believe we're single because God know we ain't ready. And who he got for us, we ain't ready to receive yet. Because we need to get our stuff together. Okay? And then I also believe that sometimes it ain't even just that, but sometimes we need to really know who we are. Right. We need to heal from some things. Some of us ain't healing until later on in life. Right. Some of us have been going 20 years with trauma. So just because we're at a certain age, it doesn't mean I gotta hurry up and rush to do it. It's how do I let me get healthy so that I can do it. But I know people, but there are people that are rushing to get into something because they're worried about the older they get, the less they're going to get it. This, that, and the other. Look, you can't focus on that. Right. Focus on you, what you got going on, what's great about you, enjoying your life, whether it's traveling with friends, going to church every Sunday, whatever it is that you got going on, activities that you're involved in, organizations that you belong to. Continue to keep your plate full on other levels. And I'm a firm believer, if you really do have a spiritual connection with God, God will fill the voids that are not currently being met in your life. That's a fact. But when we don't seek God for that comfort, we allow the world to be the access to comfort us. And that's when we open the door and the gateway to so many other things that we should be doing a healthy process for.
Right. And then you even void your promise. You get the counterfeit because like you void it out. If you would have just stuck and stayed, you would have had the real thing. Because you opt out, like, yo, this is easier.
Right.
Wind up with the counterfeit. There's a lot of people sitting there, you know what I mean? They done had the counterfeits. We all done had a counterfeit before.
Oh yeah.
Hopefully we all be able to get the real thing, but it's all like you said, putting in the work, you know. So I'm definitely excited. Definitely excited.
Well, I look forward. Look, I appreciate everybody tonight. I hope everybody had a good time. Y'all was quiet as crickets
It was
tonight.
quiet.
Boy.
It was quiet in there today. It was quiet today. They
Well,
left me out there.
I hope that was a good thing. I really do. Next week, dating etiquette. Dating etiquette. I may slide a little surprise in there on the dating etiquette. I might be able to dating etiquette. It should be fun. Me and Sai, I need to get with you about dating etiquette so that we can find ways to put pictures up. For dating etiquette. So I'm really excited about that. It should be a lot of fun. Okay. Get ready to do a little bit of laughing and learn something and really enjoy it. Okay. I do got some homework assignments. So we have homework assignments in 3 areas. So
before you do that, hold on one second. Let me check this real quick. Before you do that, let me make sure. Because you said you got pictures for next time, right?
I said I'm gonna get with you about the pictures for the dating etiquette.
Hold on.
See if that's something we can do.
I'm about to. Here we go, like this, right here. Boom, and then come back. We good.
Okay. Okay.
Seen that?
Yep. Okay. Yeah. So I'm gonna say we're gonna get with y'all flying. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Okay. I hope y'all will like something light and airy. Still very relevant. Okay. So here's the thing. So for intimacy, there's assignments for my married couples and there's assignments for my single couples. Okay. So for intimacy, if you're single, dating, okay, how open are you to having an intimate relationship? Has intimacy caused you issues in your past relationship? How can you improve intimacy on your part? Okay. For my couples, are you struggling with intimacy? And if so, what type of intimacy are we struggling with? Are you open to communicating about what you need to improve this intimacy issue in your relationship? What are some things you're willing to commit to boost this connection? Okay. Love homework assignment for my single dating folks. What do you think has hindered your ability to I'm telling you, I can't talk today. What do you think has hindered your ability to have or maintain a loving romantic relationship? Have you placed expectations on your love? And if so, why? Has this helped or hindered you? What is something you learned that you will apply to your next relationship when it comes to love? And then for my couples, are you placing too much expectation on your spouse? Do you love your spouse unconditionally? Are you willing to listen to each other's desires? And if so, are you committed to trying to meet their desires? And then I gave you an example, okay? I really love when you run me a bubble bath, or I like when you watch the game with me. If so, that's great. Now, it's not an expectation that should be looked for, but something that maybe you could do once a week or every 2 weeks to show them that you hear them and that you want to meet their desires because you love them, and doing so makes you happy, not because you're looking for something in return. Okay? And then my sex homework assignment, since we got 3 areas, I got 3 assignments. Okay, I know it's a lot, but I'm trying to give y'all what would normally take about 12 to 15 weeks to do, and kind of shorten that down a little bit. Okay, so I know I've been banging y'all up with the homework assignments. Okay. So, sex for my single dating folks. Do you want to have a healthy sexual connection that will give intimacy and love? Okay. Has sex created issues for you in the past? If so, what negative experiences have you experienced? If so, what are you planning to do differently when it comes to sex to ensure you don't have false realities or unhealthy feelings about a potential partner? Okay. And then for my couples, how is your sex life? What could be better or what is missing? Discuss these things with your partner in a loving manner, and both of you talk and actively listen to each other to find ways to increase frequency and or desire. So we may have to post that in. I don't know if you want to post them separately or if you want me to.
I'll put them in the description on YouTube, and then I'm gonna try and put them in the description on Facebook. You talking about the homework?
Yeah, because it's a lot.
I'll try and put it in the comments. It's cutting it off on here, but I'm gonna try and see if I can do it in the top, maybe something on okay. in the title part at the top.
Okay. And I don't know if you got, is yours highlighted on your end or no?
Yes.
Okay. I highlighted them for a reason, to make it stand out a little bit better, so that way they would start to see. So if they won't see it highlighted.
No, not on the internet. That's only if they want the printout. Or you know what, we might could do it where we just save the last page with the homework, and then we could just send that to them if they want it. And you don't have to send them the whole thing, just send them the last page with the homework part.
Okay. That'll work. Or I'm wondering if, let me see something, Si. All right. While we're up right quick. Oh no, I didn't mess that up. Lord have mercy. Okay. Let me see if I can do this while we're here and see if it'll work. Y'all just bear with me a second. We're gonna get y'all I want to make sure I got the homework assignments up for y'all. That matters to me, that y'all have access. And I'm proud of y'all, the ones that have been doing your homework. Yes, honey. I am proud of y'all.
Right.
Because that really shows that you're dedicated to making your growth. I'm gonna see if I can come in on here as a trying to see if I can see it live right quick. And then I'll just post it. Because when we post it here, they can see it also on. They can see the comments interchangeably?
They can see the comments interchangeably.
Okay. Let me see. Okay, there we go. All right, so what I'm going to do, see if it'll let me do it like this. Boy, trying out these Cardi B nails, boy, it's hard to type. Okay.
All right.
I've been trying to see what the hype's about with the Cardi B nails, y'all. Honey, it ain't for me. It ain't for me. I don't even think they as long as hers, but they feel like they long. They feel like they by her. Like I know her nails be like out here, honey. I was watching. They show her open a soda can. I said, what?
Yeah. While you doing that, I'm gonna play this video. It kind of ties in. We want to know if this healthy or not, and then by the time we do that, you should be finished, and we'll close out. So I'm gonna jump to this video right quick, and I want you to tell me what's up with this video. Is this healthy love, or is this unhealthy? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
If y'all in the comments, y'all watching, they probably don't even let me play it one time. They definitely gonna flag it after this. So yeah, we about to drop it. Let me know what you think after. All right, here we go.
All right.
If nobody's told you that they're proud, if the applause doesn't seem that loud, if you don't have a shoulder to lean on, nothing to keep you warm, and it feels like the world has.
Rob said we got nothing. Rob said we got nothing on the sound right there.
That's what he said.
There was no sound, right?
I heard it.
You heard the music?
Yeah.
Rob, get out of here, Rob. What? Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. So you still typing it, right? Why
Yeah,
I'm putting it
right now.
You know,
I'm copying and pasting it, so it's gonna be a little rough, y'all.
He know we live, right? Like, I'm glad it's just Jade and him in here right now. Like, why would you do that, Rob? All right, we're gonna run it back. Why you doing it?
Okay.
If nobody's told you that they're proud, if the applause doesn't seem that loud, if you don't have a shoulder to lean on, nothing to keep you warm, and it feels like the world hasn't let you down, then I will be your everyday. I said I will be your everyday. If you don't have a shoulder to lean on, nothing to keep you warm, said I will be your everyday, and that's on everything. Oh, go baby, go baby, go. They try to copy, but they can't.
Who are you? You don't take shit from me.
I'm just trying to feed my kids.
Give me the purse. Give it to me. Come on, come on.
Thank you so much.
No problem. My pleasure. My
So
pleasure.
scared.
This is your perpetrator here. Let's take his mask off. See what he's got going on. You seen this guy?
Can you handle it, all of it at once? I wanna be your best friend. I'll be your mama, I'll be your daddy, baby. Yeah, I'll be your brother, sister, and your auntie, baby. Oh yeah, I'll be anything if it make you happy, baby. Yeah, I'll even jump in front of moving traffic, baby. Oh yeah. Nobody's told you that they're proud. If the applause doesn't seem that loud, if you don't have a shoulder to lean on, nothing to keep you warm, and it feels like the world hasn't let you down. Let you down, babe. I told you that I would be your everyday. I said I will be your everyday. If you don't have a shoulder to lean on, I'll be your sun, your moon, your rain. Said I will be go baby, go. They try to copy, but they can't fuck with us. You said you wanted it, ready, here I come. Can you handle it, all of it at once? I'll be your Evie, your YGA, join me. That's what you gon' call it, then you mad at me. I'll be your Evie, your
Babe, I had the craziest dream, yo. It was like we were arguing, and then there was this guy, and he was everywhere. Like he was everything. It was so crazy. Like he was a robber. My mom, my sister. When I went to go use my family, it was freaking weird. It's up.
What? Go baby, go. They try to copy, but they can't fuck with us. You said you wanted it, ready, here.
Hold on.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
I mean, he want to be everything. Yo, is that too much?
Was too much. You can't be. See, when we come into relationships, we have to be the source of our own happiness.
Right.
Can't nobody else do that for us. So, in
Do
the context of us being responsible for our own individual happiness, we do not create someone else to be the center of the universe for us because we're also an individual. So we have a lot of things going on in our
They definitely gonna flag me. Yeah. They definitely gonna flag. That's why I waited to the end. Yeah, they only gonna flag that section.
that thing there, that baby needs some help. That's much. She was like, I had baby, I swear I had no. And he said, no. She said, no, something happened. There's some trickery, butchery right here.
Too much.
It's not healthy. And then for him to want to be the beck and call like that,
right,
says something about him,
right,
which screams lack of something, lack of identity, lack of. Because if you were all together, you wouldn't be trying to do that for everybody.
right.
There's nothing wrong with being a part of somebody's life and being there for them and having a relationship with them, but to make them the universe and solely the universe, because you have no boundaries, no standards of your own to separate or differentiate, and you still have those in a relationship. I mean, just because you get with somebody doesn't mean they all go out the window.
Right.
So,
and that's what a lot of times people they get together, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they make that mistake. I want to be your everything. You can't be my everything. I need you to be you. I need you to play your position in my life, but you can't be everything. Sometimes people get consumed with the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like you listen to the words, right? I actually like the song.
Yeah.
Right? I heard the song first. So I'm feeling the song, then writing up on them and stuff like that. But when I seen the video, it was the creative part of, he did the clumps and all that, the Eddie Murphy thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it screams out, like you said, with these series and stuff like that. So it's like now looking at it after going through the series and stuff like that.
Right.
It's like, he's up there jamming and having a good time. And people, oh yeah, it sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
But that's why so many of us find ourselves in unhealthy relationships. We find ourselves in abusive relationships. Because it's like you said, we don't have our identity on our own. We get so caught up in this that we get off the plot. It's like we on focus.
Mm-hmm.
We get with somebody. We abandon that. Now it's all about clinging to this love.
Right.
And that's the mistake we make. So it's like it made sense to me. Like, yo, let me throw that in there, get your take on it. But it's like, that's kind of what I got from it. Like, yo, okay, he's making fun, he's joking. But it's like, that's what really happens. It's like people get so caught up, wrapped up in it. I love you so much that they become your world. And if something happens now, you're left with nothing.
That's right.
Wow. So
it shouldn't be like that.
Right.
No. Wow. That's scary. It was a little stalkerish for me. I got stalkerish vibes from that.
Right. So they say, I knew they was gonna flag me, but they said, yeah, we definitely just got flagged. That's my first one, hopefully.
Oh Lord, we out here getting flagged in these streets, y'all.
We get flagged in the streets.
We getting flagged in these streets. They gonna take the video down.
No. They're just gonna mute that part out.
Oh, okay. Y'all missed it. If you wasn't live, you missed it.
You missed it.
But I do appreciate y'all. I don't know how many of y'all I had
because everybody it was coming in and out.
Because everybody was cricketing me today, which is fine. I hope y'all learned something. I hope it was good information for y'all. I appreciate y'all as always. I know tonight's episode went a little longer because it was a lot of stuff to talk about. Like I said, next week should be very light and airy. I promise we won't keep y'all all that long next week, but I just look forward to it. Dating etiquette's going to be fun. We're going to laugh a little bit. We're going to cut up a little bit. We're going to talk about some of our dating stories. Right. And it's going to be a good time. So come on out. Do your homework assignment. As always, do your homework assignment. And I appreciate y'all. And I just want to salute to everybody for coming out and being a part of the series. If you got any comments, questions, or concerns about homework, or you just need to talk about anything regarding the series, don't hesitate to reach out. I'll respond. I love y'all. Appreciate y'all. And until next week. And that's all I got. Si, you got anything?
No, that's it. Everybody have a blessed week. Yo, we thank everybody for tuning in, whether you watched it on the live or you watched the playback. We appreciate everybody that comment, that hit the like button or comment later, or if they share the video. We definitely appreciate y'all. And keep supporting the relationship series because it only gets better from here. This was episode 4. I'm looking forward to next week. Y'all know the time. Next Sunday at 7 o'clock, we're talking about dating etiquette. Because a lot of us, we ready to get our date on. They opening it up. We ready to get our date on, but we want to date the right way. We don't want to do it the wrong way. So again, y'all
get excited for that. Get excited for that. So now we're gonna take your standards and your boundaries, and we're gonna go ahead and get ready to put them things into action. You hear me? With some proper dating etiquette.
Again, we thank y'all. We love everybody. Everybody have a blessed week, and we'll see y'all next week the same time, Thank y'all. Everybody be positive. Everybody be blessed. And most importantly, be safe, y'all. We love y'all.
Love y'all.